Alright guys, welcome to SourceCast number 2. I am Spazzy D. I will loosely be playing our host today. We'll see how this goes. I am article lead and editor over at Source Gaming. With us today, as always, we have Push Dustin.
Hello.
Hey Push.
Hi.
We have Smash Chew.
Hello.
We have Nintendan.
Nintendo, wrong person.
Whatever. You're all the same to me.
Famous.
You're all the same to me. Who was I thinking of? Yeah.
Nintendo,
Sorry.
European reviewer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can tell
Damn,
it's
we forget
Nintendan.
that
He's
guy.
got a voice.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
All right, and
You know what that was? That was wishful thinking. We need to switch you out.
hurt.
And today's special guest is Smash Caps from Smashboards. Say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Smash
Alright.
Caps.
Hey there.
Yeah. Hello.
All right, let's get right into this. So for those of you that don't know, Smash Caps is one of the writers for Smashboards. I believe you are. What's your actual title there?
My technical title is Second in Command. So I guess whenever
That's
the
just
editors are
awesome.
too busy, I do everything to keep the writing team rolling.
All right, so you are number 2.
Yes.
You are the number 2.
I like how direct your
that.
title is, too. It's not like Vice or anything. It's just, you're the second guy. Like, it's just
Yep,
right
that
to
was
the point.
original title, Second in Command. I don't know what it was. It's just exactly what I was given, so I take it.
All right. So we will call you Assistant Commander
That works
for
me.
Smashboards.
That sounds awesome.
Yes. You are the Destro to the Cobra Commander of Smashboards. Actually, you know what? I don't actually know enough about G.I. Joe to say if that's true. I don't know. I'm sorry to any G.I. Joe fans that are listening to this podcast. I don't know anything
You're
about the
large
structure.
portion of the fan base, how could you?
Yeah, exactly. The
That's like
leadership
the first
structure of
comment.
Cobra.
It's gonna be, oh my god, click, 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 how you not know G.I. Joe? Click, 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 click.
How could you not know? I'm done. Unsubbed. Unsubbed. And see, this is probably why I shouldn't host. Anyways. So, Smash Caps, can you go a little bit into, like I said, I guess your background, how you came into your position, and, what you do?
Oh, well, to start, I have to go way, way back. When I was really young, I got something called Ganondorf syndrome. Essentially, it basically gave me nerve damage in my whole body, and it was like constant pain for quite a few months. Couldn't walk, couldn't do anything, but I could move my hands. So I played video games. Like, that's when I really got into gaming. Yeah, I'd played a game here or there before, but no, that was like what kept me sane. So, now I'm walking around and doing a lot better, and it's like I wanted to do something to kind of give back. I started with hosting online tournaments for lots of different games. At one point, I was the largest tournament organizer for PlayStation All-Stars. I was
You mean
that was a trip.
the only tournament organizer for PlayStation or stuff?
Pretty
I'm
much,
sorry to hear
yes.
about your darker days.
Yeah, well, it's not too bad now, because, I found gaming, and now I love games. So when, I was sitting at home, I'm disabled, I don't have a normal job, which sucks, because you kind of sit at home all day and without much to do. Everyone, dreams, oh, what if I didn't have to have a job? It sucks. It actually sucks. Trust me, you want to work. You'll go nuts. And then I saw this thing on Smashboards, just saying, hey, we need a writer. And, well, most people don't know this about me. I'm actually a published and awarded poet.
Really?
Oh wow.
It's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
I've been published in 3 separate anthologies in my life, and I've also used to edit rule books for board games. I've edited over 100 board game rule books, and I'm in a lot of games, like hobby gaming games, rule book credits. It's really interesting. So I'm like, why don't I write about Smash? Because I followed it and studied it obsessively, for years, and I just got lucky and I was one of the right people at the right place at the right time. So now I write, some weeks, I know there's some weeks I've written 20-something articles in a week. Normally it's not that bad and that busy, but summer of Smash, things get busy and there's a lot of news. So now basically what I do is, I try to scout news, I try to help if anyone wants to write a guest article to look up write one, and I mean, that's a lot of it. And of course, trying to help coordinate the writer's room because our awesome editor, Derek, he's amazing. He works for Red Bull now, and I know he's really busy. And that's why my, second in command status kind of comes in handy. I try to help out when he can't. So, so that's usually what I do. A lot of Smash writing and things like that.
Well,
All right, that is pretty interesting. Going down here. Once again, like I said, I apologize, people. I'm not a very good host. Anyways.
stress that point after every point.
Yes, I will. Don't worry, we're gonna fix this in post. That's my motto.
I suppose I should mention, recently, because if people have been following me, they probably know that I had to have a GoFundMe due to some bills issues and life just kind of crashing down one thing after another in a terrible series of dominoes. It was rough. First, I had a paying job that didn't pay me, so I didn't have money for the bills. Then our neighbor had some sort of psychotic bedbug infestation he didn't tell anyone about for months, so I had to replace half of my possessions.
What?
Including my bed. Beds are expensive.
How does your neighbors is it a flat or something, or is it a joint house?
Yeah, 3 things. So I lost a bunch of my stuff, including my bed, which stinks. And beds are expensive. So then I had to pay the internet bill, and then I had something come up telling me they wanted to disconnect my power. So I was a little stressed. I wanted to keep writing, and the awesome people came and donated $300 basically to keep my bills on, so now I don't have to worry about writing or anything at all. I'm here to stay. I'm caught up. I'm good.
That's awesome.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize, honestly, how much work writing articles, even for something you're passionate about, like Smash Brothers or video games or anything, just how much work actually goes into it. Especially for people that have other obligations, family, jobs, just anything. It's work. It's work.
Yeah.
It definitely is, especially for a site like how we do for Source Gaming, to kind of try to keep up a consistent level of quality. It's not easy. And I know that Smashboards has a decent, how many articles go up on the front page in a day, thereabouts? What would you say average?
There's usually 1 a day, if not 2 to 3, unless it's a particularly slow week. So usually at least we're putting up about 3 a day. Sometimes they're unique articles, sometimes they're covering stuff other people have done. So it's a lot of work. And of course there's being online 24/7, so literally, I can't remember who it was. Someone got sponsored, and I had the article up for them being sponsored in under 2 minutes. They were just mind blown. How did you do it that fast? Because I'm watching constantly. I don't take time off.
How did you guys decide on what the focus is for different articles? I know that recently, within the last year, I started seeing more kind of general Nintendo articles, and I feel like the response to them, to something like an update for Mario Kart was, from what I saw in the community, very positive. But I know there must have been people, and I've seen some in those comments where they're like, "Hey, I thought this was a Smash, board. Where's the Smash news?" So what was the reception to those sort of changes?
Well, we have an awesome guy who usually did a lot of the Nintendo news stuff. He's been really busy lately. I can't wait to see him back on track because, yes, it's a very Smash-oriented news site, but every now and then a big general, this is what's going on at Nintendo, is important. I even think for the speculation community or whatever else, because you don't know what games are coming out. You might be interested, like the NX. I really want to see an article on the NX once we get more information, because it's coming out in 2016. And
maybe
they're talking it's going to be out in it might be out in a year. And
it sounds.
We've had Smash for how long? So are we going to get another Smash Brothers? People, and that's something that I hear everyone chat about. And it's if we don't cover these little things, people just don't know, and it's not good.
Yeah.
So
right, and
for Smash boards, usually it is Smash news. But if we have something good with Nintendo, something that everyone is sharing and discussing, we get it on there because we want everyone to know about it. I think that's our general goal. Is if we see a lot of people discussing it in other places, or we see something that's really good, and we know everyone's talking about it everywhere else, we want to bring it to the attention of all the people on Smash boards too, so they're not left out.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, I honestly think that, personally, I think it makes sense to do it that way because Smash Brothers is really just almost a celebration of Nintendo.
Exactly.
And for people that everybody can kind of comment on this, but I know that sometimes I just see a new game come out or be advertised. Like I remember like Project Hammer for the Wii.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the first thing I thought was like, man, I wonder how that guy would play in Smash Brothers. That was literally the first thing I thought.
I've done it too. Because I think we talked about Codename Steam, and that's something I thought as well. Same for Splatoon when it was shown off, and that was actually really cool. E3 is like, oh wow, Nintendo's actually making a new series. I wonder how Smash Bros is gonna look like.
Yeah, well, I've been playing Geist a lot recently because I got it on the GameCube, and I'm sitting there thinking this guy would make like the perfect assist trophy because it's all about taking over the opponent. So he just like moves over, takes over one of the opponents, messes up their controls, stuff, and it would work so well.
That would be pretty neat, definitely.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Geist is a really good game. It's really underappreciated.
There are a lot of Nintendo games like that, just kind of underappreciated.
Gift
Man,
media.
yeah, exactly. A lot of Sega games like that too. Before this podcast started, I was talking about Phantasy Star, and one day I'm just going to do an entire podcast on Phantasy Star. It's going to happen.
I thought it was about to
Anyways.
happen. I thought that was gonna be it right there. It's like, all right, time for Fantasy Star.
Let's go. That's it. By the way, also, I think we have briefly spoken about doing maybe an NX discussion sometime in the future.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be part of that Smash Cap, that would probably be fun.
Oh yeah, please feel free. I'd love to come back. That'd always be fun.
We need to decide whether when new information for the NX comes out,
Well,
like substantial info.
Right.
How
The
about
development
UFO in
kits.
general?
The development kits were just sent out, so I would say about a month or two before someone leaks it.
Right.
I mean, there's been a lot of rumors about the NX coming from the Wall Street Journal recently, but then I was reminded that the last Nintendo article the Wall Street Journal did was the live-action Zelda show that was apparently put in production.
That's right.
And well, yeah, that panned out.
nothing.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was some truth to that particular rumor, though. Because it came on the heels of was it Iwata who was saying that they wanted to leverage their properties more. So
And
it made sense at least.
wasn't there something about a Smash Bros. Movie?
Well, no, the guy,
I didn't hear
one of the
that.
producers of the Marvel movies, who works for Sony, I believe,
Yeah.
they were arguing for the rights to get like a Mario movie and stuff like this. And they thought
I
they were
see.
seeing that the potential they could do something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but with Nintendo. But it'd be all animated stuff. But essentially, people joked around with it leading up to a Smash Brothers movie instead of an Avengers movie.
I'm just curious about the theme park. We haven't heard any real news about the Universal Nintendo partnership in a while. So
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Looking forward to
theme
hearing
parks
about that too.
theme parks take time. Well, from one thing I heard before we go super off track was just that they might be making a
before,
they might be making a full video game theme park rather than just making it a part of Universal. And then it wouldn't just be Nintendo properties. It would be like World of Warcraft would have a section, and there was another game that was listed as having a section. But Nintendo would have its own little world in there, and there was going to be Mario Kart and Pokemon rides and stuff.
as somebody that I'm not really a theme park enthusiast, per se. I have worked at Universal Studios for over 5 years, and I don't think Universal owns a large enough tract of land anywhere for something like that. I could be wrong. They could buy it anywhere. I have no idea.
No, I
I'm
agree with
thinking
you.
I've just got Central Florida in my head. So
Well, where it's at too, it's like in the it's pretty close to the city of Orlando. Like Disney's actually like further south. It's actually in Kissimmee, not Orlando, technically. But it's got like obviously a lot more land. But where they're at, I think it's in between stuff. I thought.
you can see Dr. Phillips High School from some of the coasters. Like it's literally across the street.
Yeah, so they don't have
it's
anything.
just the layout. It's in the city, whereas Disney kind of quarantined their own area for being like, hey, this is Disney and you can't see anything. Like I said, it's different in California. In California, if you go to Disneyland, it's not kind of the same situation where you're right outside of the city where you can see things, but no, Disney has just a lot of land in Central Florida, and it's kind of theirs. It's their stuff.
Yeah.
You're not gonna. You enter their own little literally Disney World.
Yeah, I think they own.
Okay.
They have like their own mayorship there or something. Like the whole story behind how they purchased the land is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway,
All right, I hope you guys are enjoying our Disney podcast. So let's,
theme park.
and this is what happens when I host. So, Smash Cap, is there anything going on? We focus at Source Gaming more on speculative Smash and more on, I would say, behind the scene things. Like, how would you describe what it is we focus on? What our section is? Push Dustin, you probably have a better insight into this than I would. But what would you say we do at Source Gaming? What part of the Smash community are we?
I would say that we're definitely more focused on the speculative community. Like, we were a lot more about the development history. We're providing translations of things that are years old but are really important for understanding what's happened and what's gonna happen in the future. We posted some predictions. Sorry, my cat's freaking out. Keep on getting distracted. And then, yeah, I would say mainly development and speculation is what Source
right.
Gaming is about.
With that kind of being our mission statement, we don't follow too closely. Some of us more than others. I know Soma, our
Soma.
kind of head translator, is very much a competitive player, very much into that scene. Is there anything going on right now or upcoming in the competitive community that we should know about, Smash Cap?
Probably. I mean, while we're recording this, MLG will be going on, which will be interesting for everybody.
Really?
So, I mean, yeah, like it won't be started while exactly we're recording, but the day we're recording, it should be finishing up, so that's interesting. The big thing right now that's really being discussed is Smash the Summit, and they're a big Melee Invitational tournament where players and fans are basically allowed to vote for which players they want to see at the event. And unfortunately, with almost all things that involve voting, there has been voting manipulation really, really badly. People were, like, it's all done on Smash GG, so there's this one tournament in the Philippines, and since it didn't have an entry fee, people were joining it, like, en masse, just to try to get free votes with fake accounts and stuff, so that really, I heard that tournament organizer, he's a really great guy, he runs some Smash boards too, so it's like, I feel really bad for him, because that really stinks. Lots of players offering up whatever weird things. It's like, hey, if we do all this, if I go to the summit, I'll do this. And then everyone kind of forgot that one of the longest running tournament series in Georgia, Tipped Off, is on the exact same weekend. So when the summit basically said we're inviting 10 of these top players and top players of your choice that you vote for, they kind of screwed that tournament over just a little bit. Just a tiny bit by basically taking all the players that were confirmed for their event and just stealing them. So I expect to see a lot of talk about that because it's coming up in November. And I have a feeling there's going to be some people who are, hurt feelings and issues over that. And there's already been issues with the voting too. And Melee Hell is something a lot of people have been talking about. They're a little group that's been doing a lot of stuff with the votes and messing with that. So
What's Melee Hell?
They're a Facebook group, to the best of my knowledge. I mean, they make a bunch of general memes and stuff that are like funny things about Melee, and occasionally they've sponsored like Chudat in the past to try to give them money to get to Evo and things like that. They're an interesting group. I can't say that much about them because I only see their occasional things on Twitter, like that they post. I don't follow them exclusively, and sometimes they give me a laugh, and sometimes they don't. But I would definitely say if you want to know about them, you should probably look into them. They're controversial at the moment, I suppose. Some people think that it should have been all the power to the players. They had voted up to second place Meme Man, who's like he's actually just like he's a player. He's a real player, and this big invitational, is supposed to be for pro players or top ranked people. And Smash GG, after they said no, we're going to fix this so that not anyone can be nominated, there was a big stink about it. It's a whole little mini controversy all in and of itself. So I suppose if you want to know about Melee Hell, you should probably look them up because they're a little Facebook group and Twitter.
I'm having a look at their Facebook right now.
I'm looking at it right now.
They're definitely interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, so I know that's going to be a big thing that's being discussed, and especially because of the Tipped Off and the summits, big business Smash tournaments versus grassroots Smash tournaments, and discussing how that's going to go in the future. I know that's a big topic for a lot of people right now, so I suppose I'd look look to seeing that discussed even more thoroughly in the future.
Wow. So there's a lot of controversy in the Smash community. Wait,
I think it's
It's always controversy in the Smash community, let's be frank.
which is
I
great.
think it's
segue.
amazing just how just passionate people still are about Melee.
Yeah.
It is.
And just it's just fascinating because that game is being played on a competitive level and has been for so many years that just the metagame is still changing because people are still adjusting and learning. It's interesting. Melee, not just for Smash games, just as a study of a community that is playing one game for over a decade is really interesting to me.
I think like Street Fighter 2 and stuff, like really old games, are still being played competitively.
There's a few, yeah.
Yes.
Some of the old Street Fighter games, if you go to EVO, their side tournaments are almost as big as some of the main tournaments. Like, it's impressive.
Yeah, but I don't.
I think Street Fighter 3 has more actual cred now than it did when it actually came out.
Yeah.
Well, the difference is, I mean, we don't tend to hear about anything bad happening between the Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 4 crowd when compared to
the thing is when-
Smash community crowd.
When Street Fighter 4 came out, the community didn't try to mod it to play more like Street Fighter 3. I think is what we're
Yeah.
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 But I guess segue too, because I mean, when Brawl came out, somebody had made that. I was actually looking on Shoryuken, the Street Fighter forums, and somebody made that point. It's like he's like basically pointing out, yeah, when Street Fighter 3 came out, it was really different. Obviously, parrying, it wasn't as fast. Like fireballs and specials weren't as strong. So it was like a different game. But never did the community actually like mod something. Okay, it's probably where it's gonna start getting like controversial. Like, oh my god, click Smash, you suck. But I mean, that's kind of like the big difference is like, you know, the other communities were able to, you know, kind of either move on or they still like the old game. They never disliked the old game, but they wanted to move on to the next one. But Smash Bros is kind of like a weird dynamic where they love, like, Melee is like this special golden child, and then there's the other Smash Bros game, and it'll probably be the same thing when the fifth one comes out, whenever that is, or ever.
There's very few
You know what-
other fighting game communities that run like that. I know one of them is the Dragon Ball Z community, actually, oddly enough. There's some people who are dead set, huge fans of Budokai 3.
Yeah.
Like, and they basically claim it's the best of the Dragon Ball series ever, and oddly enough, it's because there's special canceling techniques to increase your combos and movement.
Wait, is it
Oh,
Budokai
huh.
3 or Budokai
So it's actually an
Tenkaichi
odd
3?
From what I've heard, it's just Budokai 3.
Just Budokai 3.
So I was
okay.
kind of surprised.
Because I
Yeah,
know both
and
of them are quite light.
Yeah, and it was interesting to me that, like, that's one of the only other ones that I know of, and it's literally for the same reasons, is because they give you so much more you could do with it. It's such a curious dynamic.
Is it because people are like really obsessed with the characters? Like we're so invested in the characters that we get really invested in the game itself and in the mechanics in that game?
It could be part of that, especially if the game is really good and excellent to play. You're gonna have people who play it forever. I mean, we still have Smash 64 fanatics too, like in the scene that are just dedicated to that game. They're growing too. Like, out of all the other older Smash games coming back, everyone's like, you should bring back Brawl. Well, Smash 64 is actually getting at more and more tournaments. Like, that's another big one coming up. Genesis 3 in January, they added Smash 64 to the roster, and Isaiah is going to come to his first tournament in a very long time. So that's going to be exciting to see if anyone can actually beat him. But it's very interesting. There's something about old games, and then I think part of it is also depending on the older game accessibility. Because some older games nowadays you can buy them used for like $5. And if they're that amazing of a game and they're better than the new ones, why would you spend $40, $50, $60 to buy a new game and then like $400 to buy a brand new console when you can buy these older ones and still play the games and have a great time?
Yeah.
And I've always wondered if in the future esports will eventually, for console games, come back and literally start playing older games on purpose for those kinds of reasons. Like old gems or weird games that people just forgot that had crazy stuff in them and things like that. So it should be interesting.
Well, I think this kind of we've touched base, I guess, and started discussing a little bit what we wanted to get into next, which is kind of the broken base of the Smash community and how splintered the Smash community is in just a lot of ways. We just wanted to discuss that, the divide between competitive and quote-unquote casual. Although, to be honest, if you are so invested in a game that you're talking about it on forums and getting mad at people about it, you're not a casual. You just are someone that isn't playing it competitively. I think we need a better term for those sorts of individuals. And really, Melee versus Brawl, 64 versus Smash 4.
Melee versus everyone.
Melee versus
basically.
the world.
Yeah.
I think it's every
Well,
game
there's
versus
a
everyone.
lot of Project M fans. A lot of them have been coming off as very bitter, and I there's definitely a reason for it because of how. Because I mean, PM prior to the launch of Smash 4 was pretty high profile.
Yeah, well, I can understand why the Project M community is a bit bitter at the moment, because with Nintendo actually stepping in and making it so that Smash, like sponsoring the tournaments and stuff like that sometimes for Smash 4 and Melee, they only want their own made games in there. Which Project M being a fan
right, and it's been
essentially
marginalized,
banned from being at certain tournaments. So
yeah, and Project M is kind of in a weird position because like if Nintendo acknowledges it directly, then it legitimizes them, and if they continue to ignore them, well, not continue to ignore them, but like kind of push them to the side, then they can't get the hype that they might deserve because of their efforts.
Yeah, and if they do acknowledge the game, unfortunately, that means they finally are acknowledged to all of the other stuff that's in the game, like from Sega and Snake and all of that, and then they probably have to put down legal action.
Yeah,
Nintendo. I know it sucks, that what Nintendo's doing to try to push it off the street, and I know that a lot of PM stuff is on Hitbox and things like that now, but I really don't think that Nintendo like hates PM and hates everything to do with it. I think people got to realize that if they didn't do these things, the game would have to be dead. They'd have to go out of their way to do whatever they could to kill it.
And
that
Nintendo
would suck for everybody. They don't want to do that. That's going to make them look bad, make people mad at them. And PM people don't want to do that because they want to play their game. So it's like, as much as it sucks, it's just about the only
solution.
It's like just about the only solution,
I
would definitely tell anyone out there who plays PM, make sure that just mix in strictly PM related resources. I know there was a website that was supposed to be like Melee It On Me, but from Project M News, they should get on finishing that, doing things like that, so that, if anything does happen, you're already ready to go. Because, it sucks, but things are going to happen eventually to everybody. Who knows how long Hitbox will last, if Hitbox actually gets really, really big with Project M. Well, Nintendo will probably look and go, hey, wait a minute, these guys are really big with Project M, now we have to deal with it again. And that would suck for, everybody. So, it's just a good idea to be planned and prepared and have your own resources ready to go in case you need them. Because I really doubt, the Project M website, Nintendo's never gone after their actual website, ever. So, it's things like that.
And Nintendo has shut down a lot of projects in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
A lot of fan movies and stuff that get made.
There was a Super Mario 64 and Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
That was shut down most recently.
Right, but that, as limited as that, I don't know if you guys actually got a chance to play that demo when it was
I did,
around.
I played it.
But, okay. Yeah, as limited as it was, I can understand Nintendo's reasoning on that, because Mario 64 is, an actual, something they can actually remake.
Yeah, that's true.
And that devalues an actual remake of it, number one. And number two, it's something they're still making money off of. They're selling it on the virtual console. It's not, I had more sympathy for emulation and just downloading ROMs and things like that. And there's still cases where, it's completely understandable. If you want to play Mother 3 in English, it's really your only option,
Yeah.
for most of us. But I had a lot more, I don't know, I thought it was more justified prior to the launch of, was it the 7th gen with the Wii and Xbox Live, where you could start actually digitally buying old games, because it was difficult to find Nintendo games.
The virtual console.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But before things like that, it was a lot more difficult, so it made sense that people would be downloading them, because, hey, it's not like if I go out and buy a used copy of Castlevania 3 that I'm giving Konami any money, because it's a used copy, so what's the difference? Who's it hurting? But now that companies are re-releasing things digitally, you should still be supporting the company. If you want, for instance, let's go back to that Castlevania. If you want Konami to know that, hey, there's a fan base for Castlevania, buy Castlevania games, even if it's a virtual console game.
Yeah.
So,
And I think the one thing too, this kind of goes all to, I think we forget Nintendo is a corporation. Its purpose for existing is to make money, and part of that is of course defend its IPs. It also kind of deals with the whole Melee versus every other game, because the comments I've always heard, especially when Smash Bros. Coming to fruition, even when we're talking about Brawl, was always this sense of, oh, why don't they just add this? Why don't they add this? People won't care. But the thing is, when you look at it, I mean, these games are not just, even like compared to other fighting games, most fighting games are pretty niche, but Super Smash Bros. Is an incredibly successful series. Brawl sold about 77 million, though 3DS right now sold about 7.04 million. It's like, these sell to a lot of different people, not so much, I mean, we love the community, but it's like, it's really small. So the company can't do these kind of things. And this goes to the same thing, I guess, too, with some of the, defending their IPs. I mean, that's kind of what the company has to do in order to make money, because Nintendo especially makes money on their IPs. And I think we just kind of forget this fact a lot when we're talking about it. And you remember, I mean, and going back to the whole sales thing, we talk about Brawl, everyone likes to poo-poo on Brawl, but right now it's still the most successful game in the series. And looking at sales trends, it might stay that way for a while, unless the one on the NX is really successful. I think someone just dropped out.
Yeah, Nintendo.
Oh no.
Hello?
Hold on. But yeah, I completely agree with the sales argument.
Hello?
Like you said, the Brawl has sold over 10 million copies, and most of the online communities are comprised of about 2,000, 4,000 people, maybe.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, let's say some of our biggest tournaments get 10,000 or 20,000 viewers, and the games have sold millions of copies.
Yeah.
You have to understand that, our competitive community really is only this tiny, itty-bitty chunk. And of course, they do care enough to, they want to make the game, not that they have patches. They've done a lot of stuff specifically and directly to help our community.
Definitely.
They patch things that we think need to be done. And, they do care about our thoughts, but Zelda still isn't some amazing 1v1 giant. Because, Zelda, people want to play Zelda because of how she feels, and she's good in a 2v2 environment or a free-for-all environment. And that is still important to the game's developers.
Yes.
So, unfortunately, it's just like Sheik. If they keep destroying Sheik, who was already kind of iffy in free-for-alls and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
If they completely destroy her just for the 1v1 scene, they're hurting the other one. So we do, as much as it sucks, you have to remember that there's millions of other people out there who play the game for everything else. And we have to consider, the gameplay for them in those modes so that it's fair to them too.
And Sakurai has even mentioned this directly. There's an article that we translated called The Active Balancing, where he talks about how the characters need to be balanced across a variety of different playstyles, a variety of different modes, a variety of different matchups and everything. You can't just make everyone, like you said, a 1v1 giant.
Yeah, because if they are, the game has very little variety, and of course there is always that feeling in Smash, part of it that just kind of makes it magic, Bowser's this big, heavy, clunky feeling thing when you use your controller. That's never going to be great in a 1v1 environment. It's not, but it feels like you're actually playing Bowser. If you go in a free-for-all or maybe a 2v2, you can actually use that. So it's nice to see, it sucks, when we look at 1v1. If we did focus on the other game modes more, I doubt we're going to have lots of, competitive free-for-all tournaments with 5 people or whatever, but, or 4 people on the map. But if you actually really look, across, some of these other characters are still really great, and it shows, the company does care about us, but they do. They have to care about their millions of other customers. We're just a small drop in a giant well.
Yeah, and they have to care about the character representation too, because they're protecting their IPs. They're trying to represent their characters as accurate as possible. I know a lot of people give the Smash team a lot of shit for certain portrayals, especially like Wario and Ganondorf.
Yeah, we're gonna get some Ganondorf comments in. There's an article about it.
Yes,
that you guys
yes. There's
have.
articles about Ganondorf and there's articles about Wario.
About Wario. But I'm just saying we're gonna get comments now about yeah, they care.
Yeah, we know, and
probably about Ridley too somehow, even though he's not a character
Have you
that's
guys ever
playable.
looked
Ridley's
into
always
the
relevant.
general rumor that the Ganondorf being a clone was supposed to be that F-Zero character that always wore the dark clothing and the horns. I can't even think of his name.
Black Shadow.
Black Shadow.
Yeah, I always heard that was a rumor too, and then he basically got turned into Ganondorf because they already had the model for Ganon and
No.
I don't think that ever happened. I think he said the reason for that was just because the bodies were similar, and Ganondorf wouldn't have been anyway, because that was the whole clone thing. They're trying to add more characters in a short amount of time.
Ganondorf was as Sakurai put it, he was an extremely lucky character to get into Melee. They had a base model which they worked off of, and the body structure matched Captain Falcon's. And he was also voted the #1 most requested Zelda newcomer in the Smash 2 polls. Zelda and Sheik were actually on the bottom.
Interesting. Look where we're at now.
So, that's another thing I can get into is this whole Smash ballot and how the community has responded to that. But
it's interesting, especially in Smash 4. We're gonna have people who come to play the game who literally don't realize that Sheik and Zelda are the same person. Spoiler alert. Sorry, it's how many years late, but
yeah, I know. It's what, 1998?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know by now, but there's gonna be people who are literally born and are young and playing this game, and they're like, "Ooh, there's these two different characters," and they might not even know nowadays. And it's such a different and interesting dynamic. Like, someone literally doesn't realize who Sheik even is, maybe, or that's.
It's starting to become that way. I kind of changed the topics a little bit, but you think about too. I think back before Brawl, I wrote an article about this. But you look at 64. Back then, Count Falcon was a big character. Samus was kind of on the downswing because you hadn't had a game on Metroid in so long. So it's
8 years.
And now it's kind of changing because now Animal Crossing it's becoming even more of a big series. So probably next thing you'll see more Animal Crossing characters, and some of these other series will start go even further to the wayside. Maybe even, I hate to say Wii Fit, maybe if they don't keep making games for that one, or I'm trying to think of another really good example. But probably, and even Star Fox, if they didn't make another one, was kind of becoming that too. Just, was like, oh, who are these characters? I haven't seen them in ages.
I remember when I played Smash 64, I did not know who Ness was.
Same.
A lot of people didn't.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people still don't, to be dead honest with you.
Yeah. that's
man, but Nintendo Power had such a push for Earthbound when it came out. Oh man, I remember the articles.
Mm-hmm.
I bought my copy of Earthbound at a Best Buy for $20 because they were clearancing them out, and they had an end case just with a bunch of copies of Earthbound, and I thought to myself, man, I should just pick up a couple of them and just keep them, and I didn't. But I got my copy. That was one of those Blockbuster rent games for me. I rented it a few times and beat it when it initially came out. I have to say I've actually been pretty familiar with almost all of the characters in Smash. I think I didn't know who Roy and Marth were. I think 98% of America. Yeah. And I thought Game & Watch was an interesting concept. I was, I guess, familiar with the fact that the Game & Watch series existed.
I actually didn't know. That was one of the ones I knew about, because I think there was the Game Boy games, the Game and
the gallery.
Yeah.
That's how I knew about that character.
That's how I knew too. I had the gallery, and then I went to a thrift store once and actually found a Game & Watch somehow a long time ago.
Oh wow, what?
And I actually knew the series. So when I saw it, I was just like, that's so cool.
That's one of the great things about Smash is that it introduces, series to people.
Yeah, actually,
I know
Xenoblade's actually a good example of that recently, because I think Schultz is probably literally, who is this? So it's kind of interesting, because and it's kind of the irony, because now we talk about Smash, but we probably know every character that could possibly add it. So it's I know who Shulk is, but there's so many people now that even though it came out probably 2012, I think, in the US, people are who the heck is this character? So
I admit,
it's really interesting nature of Smash.
When people were first speculating, I didn't know about Shulk either. I had to look him up.
Yeah,
he was pretty up on games. I'd never heard of him.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was.
Speaking of a character that's better in free-for-alls than in 1v1, man, you don't realize how fun backslash actually is until there's chaos on the screen. Because 1v1 is.
I don't think you use that enough.
It's pretty awesome. I think Push. Maybe you can shed a little more light on this. As far as the Japanese fan base goes, I feel like Little Mac was one of those characters because I see a lot of with some of the Miiverse stuff that gets posted on Smashboard and stuff. I see a lot of positive reception to Little Mac in Japan, but he wasn't a popular choice there. So has that really kind of raised the profile of Punch-Out over there?
Definitely. I think I mentioned this in the chat a couple weeks back. A couple weeks ago, there's a girl that constantly posts Little Mac fan love pictures, it's her and Little Mac on the Japanese Miiverse. It's
hilarious.
Every day. I go and check it.
I'm
would say
glad the
that
Japanese.
Link in the description. Come on, let's do this.
I got you. I like how the Japanese Miiverse is just as bad as like the Western one, like the US one. It's the same
Yeah,
crap.
it's just in Japanese.
Yeah, it's just more Japanese. That's the difference.
Miiverse.
But yeah, I would say that Lil Mac has definitely risen in terms of notoriety. There's been a couple of
And he's-
articles on smabros.com that discuss Lil Mac, like how is he overpowered? Like when the first game game first came out, like is Lil Mac overpowered or whatever, stuff like that.
You know, I have
He's
a
actually
question
not
about
that
the-
little in Japan.
Yeah,
Because
it's
I believe in the Wii game he was listed at 5'7", and I think isn't that like the average height in Japan? He's average Mac.
The average height is probably around 5'8", 5'9". I'm actually pretty short. I'm 5'3", so I'm actually shorter than everyone here. Yeah, I
I'm
know.
6'7", sorry.
You know what's funny? I think if you go by the source material, I think Shulk is actually the same height as Little Mac, although it's not. Obviously, in game, Little Mac is shorter because it's kind of his shtick.
It's not Smash Bros. Thing. It's just like the sizes are all over the place.
Right. So Ridley when? Am I right?
Yeah.
Come
I
on.
know.
If Little Mac is shorter, I mean, it's the same exact situation.
This is a
Right.
huge crisis.
Mewtwo is like the lightest character, second lightest character in the game. He's like 1,000-something pounds in the Pokemon series or something ridiculous
He's
like
that big. He's
Yeah,
on a diet.
The Pokedex.
And like in the Smash series, he's like nothing. He's just yeah, poof, go away.
And Rosalina's kind of the same thing. She's a heavyweight character in the Mario Kart game. She's also on the same class as Mewtwo.
I love the Pokedex entries in general because they sound like they're written by like a 5-year-old.
They
Like-
kinda do.
Yeah, they're like this character burns like the sun.
They do that.
So, anyways, getting back to what we were talking about, which would be Smash Brothers, right? That's what we were talking
I
about.
think,
Yeah.
I think we slowly
yeah,
got away because it was about the divide in the community, and I think somehow we
Yeah.
started talking about just Smash Brothers in general.
Well, it's
Because
appropriate that we
characters-
divide the podcast.
But I'm cheating.
You know what?
The,
No, you know what? No, we're gonna tie this back in. It's gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
With so many different people who play different games and have different things they like about different games. Like, I know about Shulk because I like RPGs. I like Wii Fit because I like to be healthy. I like Duck Hunt because I like to play retro stuff. When you bring in all of those different people with all of these different game-playing philosophies,
Yeah.
try to find one game that they're going to like, you're going to find that there's going to be people who disagree.
That
Boom,
actually
every
is
time.
a really, that's an amazing segue and a really good point. And it makes me think too, because this example is another kind of a YouTube personality. I don't know if anyone knows the BitBlock Josh Thomas. Like, he's an example of someone who just hates like the anime characters like Shulk and the Fire Emblem characters. But those are really popular characters, especially in Japan, because I think in one of our articles, I know Push Me to Know It, was that even with 5 Fire Emblem characters, people still want more Fire Emblem characters. Like, and it's like, holy crap.
Perception
But,
Japan Redux.
yeah.
That's
So it's just kind of the divide too, and I think there's always gonna be the argument. I still hear it now, like, oh, Wii Fit trainers should be in for some reason. I'm like, what? Like, I don't understand the problem. But it's just kind of that weird kind of like certain people will always like a character, will always find one useless. Some people still argue Jigglypuff shouldn't be in, and I don't know why.
I saw some comments the other day in Japanese that were like, they were comparing the sales of Fire Emblem If. I forgot what's called in English. But
Fates.
Fates. Okay. So they were comparing the sales of Fates to the opening sales of Smash, and they're like, look how well Fates sold in the first couple weeks. They should add another character because it sold more than Smash.
It's interesting. But have you guys ever heard of Bartle's taxonomy?
No.
It's a theory as to the different kind of people who play games and what they want out of a game.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually it's a little bit famous within the actual game design community, and there's like 4 sections. There's the killers, the achievers, the socializers, and the explorers. And the achievers, they want to be the top of everything. The explorers, they want to explore like every single thing that the game has to offer. The killers basically get off on winning, destroying, beating people, and the socializers want to be a part of the community, and talk to people. And that's the cool thing about Smash is, oh my gosh, does it like kind of cover just about everything?
Yeah.
So hard. And and you're gonna normally, you have people in 4 different categories like that. These are, they're pretty general, and then you have to put them all together in one big community. Like, I would assume, especially in Melee, there are a ton of explorers, the types, who want to know every in-depth game mechanic, because Melee just has this huge breadth of knowledge, and it's incredibly it's mind-blowing. We're still finding brand new techniques we've never seen before, like now. Like, we had, like, that V-canceling, which I still think the name is silly, but V-canceling, like, literally just discovered months ago, brand new Melee technique we haven't found in how many years. It's crazy, and, that definitely helps the explorers and socializers, Smash in general, with the forums and the tournaments. That's huge for all of those people. And of course, there's the people who just want to talk about the game, Hey, you know what? You said you wanted to have a new... Yeah, we said, new thing for people who don't play the game competitively, but really want to talk about it. They are the socializers of Smash. That is their exact, like, on Bartle's taxonomy, that is where they're at. They want to interact with the players in the community, and that is their thing. Again, that's neat. And of course, they're going to have stuff, they want stuff way different than the killers who are there to just beat the crap and win against everybody. And and even the people who just want to beat and win everybody are different than the achievers who want to just, like, be up on a high echelon for whatever reason. Like your low-tier heroes who want to be famous for being the main of just this character or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or the guy who's like, I've won all of these different tournaments, or I've done this weird achievement. And then you have to put them all together to try to like one game, and you're just basically doomed.
I think
as long as...
I think going from that too is that the Smash community is so huge that you're gonna have just so many different opinions and play styles and types of people. I mean, it's sold tens of millions of copies, and even what we think of as casual Smash fans, like I mentioned briefly before, it's a misnomer. The people that are on forums and complaining and just getting up in arms about, I don't know, wave dashing or another advanced technique because that's what they feel like talking about that week. They, that's what, like, they're probably 5% of what you would actually consider the casual community of, just kids or, somebody in... When Melee came out when I was a freshman in college, and we played it very casually, but in a competitive way. I mean, maybe that's even flipped. We played, with items and everything, but we were very competitive about how we played. Yeah. And we played religiously. Yeah. Does that make us, casual players if we're playing it every day and because we have items on? No, if you're a casual player, you can play it, you can play For Glory style, if you will, and play it once or twice a month, but you're competitive all of a sudden? No, it's ridiculous. That naming convention doesn't make sense. It was, and I think that naming convention actually hurts too, because there is then this stigma on the casual fan base because you're not really playing the game, you're not real gamers, you're not part of the competitive, and I think that's where part of that divide comes from. If you don't play the game the way it's not just that people play the game differently than me. It's that if you don't play the game, and this happens from all sides, if you don't play the game the way I play the game, you are playing it wrong and you are part of some sort of problem.
It's an in-group, out-group thing, essentially. It's like, you're for us or against us. And it's kind of the benefit and I guess almost the curse of Super Smash Bros. Because one of the biggest advantages of it is more than almost any other game, you have a lot of, like, options in the game. If you compare it to Mario Kart, like, Mario Kart did the item change, it was just, like, by category, where Smash Bros. Allows you to change individual aspects of the game. You can change individual stages at random, you can change individual things. You change things that don't matter, like, turning your damage off, like, you can't see damage anymore. So the problem is you're going to have people that play lots of different ways all the time, and it shouldn't be just a situation where you have a large community that has a certain way they play. Again, because it's a tournament, that's understandable. But it's going to be kind of different. Like, if you're not playing this way, you're not really playing, because you're not playing based on our rules. So it's a weird dichotomy.
So, I guess the biggest thing that the community needs to do is just be more acceptive. Is to say, like, hey, it's okay if you don't 100% agree with me. As long as I'm not a dick about it, and as long as you're not a dick about it, I won't be a dick about it.
Yeah, people, especially our top players in all the games, need to tone it back a little on social media stuff.
Yeah.
I think, we didn't have a lot of problems with people thinking top players were jerks or anything like that, never listened to the community back when we were more forum-based, to be honest, because people actually had real, full conversations, and they explained how they felt on things.
Yeah.
And nowadays we have someone, saying, this is dumb, because they have 140 characters, and that's it. Like, and maybe they're right. Maybe they're absolutely right. Maybe some stage needs to be banned because it has this insanely stupid stuff on it. But everyone else doesn't know because they never took the time to explain why. And 140 characters, there's no way you're gonna explain why. It's not possible.
Yeah. And this goes to another.
Yeah, I think Push has.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say really quick. I think Push has a you know, and we had that whole Stronger Together thing. I think that a much better goal for the Smash community and a much better slogan is, "Hey, you don't be a dick, I won't be a dick." I think that's
called
that works.
Wheaton's
I think that's
Will Wheaton's law. Don't be a dick. Literally.
yeah.
Wheaton's
We
law.
can. I think that's attainable. I think we can do that. Don't be a dick, I won't be a dick. I like it.
Yeah, just be nice to everybody. Yeah, because like even like some people who are like personalities on Twitter and they're known just for kind of being jerks. Most people realize they're really nice in real life if they meet them.
I think it's most people.
Leffen, everyone's always like, Leffen's so mean. Dude, if you meet Leffen in real life, he's really nice to people most of the time. He's a really reasonable guy.
Someone needs to play the melee villain, and he does it well.
Yeah,
And
true.
there's like, in Smash 4 we have Anti. Literally, I was stuck in a Twitter conversation about it. Like, and I was saying, he's really rough on social media. And I'm like, I hope you guys understand. I know that he's like one of the coolest, nicest guys ever in real life. He's awesome. But most people don't realize that when you only look at someone's Twitter account. Like, that's it. And then if that's all they have, and that's all the top player uses to communicate, that's it. So that's all people think of these people is like, wow, they're really like snobby and they won't ever listen to anybody. And it's like, no, I bet they would, but we've moving into the social media era, our communications have made Smash a lot worse in the political aspects, the talking aspects, the getting information out, which stinks. Like, I'm not just trying to push Smash boards, because I write there, but really, if people came to the forum, every time there's a huge complaint, and then one of those players, I say, go to the forums, actually explain how you feel. Half the time it dies, like that day, it's gone. It's just like, if you guys just did this every single time, it'd be dead. Like, we'd already have all of our discussions finished.
Yeah.
I think a big problem is that, just in general, like the way that people consume content nowadays, is it's very fast-paced. It's a lot of information, but it's not very detailed information. So people are very quick to judge, very quick to come to a conclusion, and they don't spend enough time collecting the facts. They don't spend enough time actually seeing what the real issue is. So even if you get like the one comment like, this stage sucks or whatever, they might have posted the reasons or rationales beforehand, but only this stage sucks gets posted on Reddit or something like that, or gets retweeted.
Yeah.
I think it's also a problem too, kind of a thing I've noticed recently. So back in the day, it used to be there was actually reasons for certain things to change, but the problem is that there's a good theory about this. Essentially, what you have is, I'll explain this real quick. You have a bunch of monkeys in a room. There's bananas on a ladder. The monkey climbs the ladder. They get sprayed. All the monkeys get sprayed with water or something. So eventually, it happens. The monkeys learn not to do that. You introduce new monkeys, and they reinforce those rules. And then after time, once you keep getting new ones in there, nobody knows what the original rule is. Why can't you climb the ladder? Smash has started to become that. And the example I'll use actually is items are kind of like that. Because used to be items were kind of on for both East Coast and West Coast. But one of the issues, at least when I was around with Melee, was that they were turned off because you couldn't turn off exploding. You couldn't turn off crates or capsules, but they could spawn in front of you and blow up, and that was an issue. And I don't know why. I feel like that game was way more brutal with having them spawn right in front of you and blow up. But that changed with Brawl because they actually they actually allowed you to toggle that item on and off, but the rule never changed. And it became a big fiasco with that
Evo.
Evo.
Really, really hard to change too. Yeah, with Evo, a lot of people don't remember back when the game first came out. Those rule sets for Evo were not that weird. There was an entire giant thread on the Shoryuken forums talking about items in Super Smash Bros. And then we had the item standard play rule set that was done over on Smash boards. It was not actually weird at the time. This was something a lot of people talked about. Because, they went back and said, hey guys, another reason that we banned them is gone. Can we at least talk about bringing them?
And that's kind of
Yeah, and I think it's true that people came in and just said, no, they've been gone. Don't do anything about it. Don't question it. That experiment is a great analogy for it. I love it.
I love how you connected it back to monkeys. Smashed you by the
Yeah, exactly.
Little monkey.
I was about to say the same thing.
And another example too, it's kind of the nature of it too. One thing I've seen recently is the walk-offs. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason I always understand they were kind of turned off was because chain grabbing, especially in Brawl, where you could literally chain grab people to death with DDD. So of course you had a walk-off stage. It was pretty much dumb because you easily could just be like,
R.I.P.
grab
Ice
you.
Climbers.
Yeah.
Over-centralizing strategy is the general idea. That's why it was banned in Melee too, because a lot of the times it became Play Fox learn how to multi-shine. And that's no
Yeah.
fun for the game, you know. It's so straightforward. This is the only thing to do. It's use the strategy that far over to like the left or right.
Yeah.
And that is, it doesn't test skill anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I know with when he plays Ness, Ness is one of my Smash 4 mains. His front throw, isn't that a predetermined
Kind of the
throw
same thing
when
with back throw. Like the knockback is somewhat like pre-calculated. So when you play on a walk-off, you kill them. If you're in the right spot, they're
like
just
almost immediately?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is that in Smash 4 or is that is just in the older ones or all of them?
I think it's
I
not.
think all of them for Ness.
Okay. Okay. But I mean, that's one thing. I kind of bring on this example because I always, at least Reddit's the worst about it because I always hear, oh, walk-offs, super bad, stupid. And I'm like, why are walk-offs bad? And I've never really gotten a real good answer.
Because they make Little Mac viable. That's why they're
Yeah, and that's something I was going to say, too. It's like, you complain Little Mac's bad, but you put stages that are, like, aren't the best for him. And then complain that he's a crap character, Sakurai needs to change this. It's like, well,
right,
your map
because
pool kind
they're
of
bad.
reflects that.
Some characters are bad in the rule sets that I'm not going to say are arbitrarily made because there's a lot of thought put into them, but a lot of it are holdovers from other games. But yeah, if you're creating, for instance, let's say in Melee, if you create an environment where Fox is a dominant character through things like stage selection, then is that really like fair and balanced stages, or are they stages that cater towards a character like Fox being good? It's, you know...
Yeah, and
I see what you're doing.
it's kind of the same way,
It's
too.
interesting. I actually tested walk-off stages. I ran a tournament with walk-off stages back when I was on the Reddit team. And it wasn't even Little Mac that was a problem. It wasn't even chain grabs that was like a problem, or like, you know, those grabs near the side of the stage. Literally, it was that she could do that little fair combo.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
It came down to, there was matches literally where two people would choose Sheik, and it would be who got the first combo, because if you're even near the center of the stage, they're already dead. So, like,
Yeah.
I could see that. Walk-offs could be pretty centralizing. Like, if you had, like, Wii, you know, like the Wii Studio stage or whatever, yeah, that could create problems. Those would be really boring matches.
Sure, I forgot about that. And I know Smashville is kind of like that, too. It's a neutral stage, everyone loves it, but Sheik has a big advantage because that stupid moving platform, she basically can do that.
Right, yeah, because
in
once
that
the
stage,
platform
too.
gets on the edge, yeah.
It's really easy for her to do that, and I've seen a few videos of people, like, essentially doing that. Town City, I guess, has a little bit of a problem with it, too, I guess.
Now, that's basically walk-off stages, except it's 24/7, and you always have that opportunity, and there's no way to get out of it. Like,
Is it just
Sheik?
Sheik?
It's scary. There's a couple other combos that can do forward stuff. Technically, the Mii Brawler has a combo that's pretty simple like that, where you can just like down throw, forward air, and reset into grabs. There's a few characters who have things like that.
I know Mii Brawl has
just
some
make those
gimmicks and
stages
stuff on stage.
really boring.
Okay.
I'm still a little upset that Coliseum couldn't have been like giant. First of all, I don't know. This is going off topic, but that's kind of on par for this discussion today. The Coliseum stage, I enjoy quite a bit. I really like the aesthetic. I think it's simple. It's fun. It's weird to me that I guess the moving parts that it's not an 8-player stage because it's huge, and it would make an excellent 8-player stage. But it's a little upsetting that it's not. There's no reason that it couldn't have been on a platform, because the platforms come up anyways. You just have a solid platform that looks like the Omega version, and then you have the parts rise from there, and that would have been kind of this excellent stage. And as it is right now, it's a little too big, and it's another walk-off in a game that has... It seems that most of the stages that are pretty simple in design and premise in Smash 4 are walk-offs, like Coliseum, like Wii Fit Studio, like Mario Galaxy. Because people say, man, there's so many gimmicks in Smash 4. I'm like, there's actually a lot of simple stages. It's just they happen to have other things that are barring them from being competitive.
That's true, yeah. Actually, that's funny, too, because I think a lot of the competitive stages are actually brawl stages, now I think about them. Or they're similar to a brawl stage. Like, I think Skyroad, I'm not sure if it's legal, has been talked about, but it's very similar to Delphina Plaza. Town City is really just a more complicated Smashville.
Yeah, a lot of in competitive Smash, there's a few places that still run Woohoo Island and Skylock. But, I mean, it's not very common now. A lot of places just refuse to even give it a chance at the beginning of the game, which I do think stinks. Like, honestly, there's been a lot of other problems, like the few tournaments that have run Skylock, that some of them have run into issues. Not all of them, but some. And then if you look at that and then go, well, we got some evidence, maybe it's a problem now. It's a good time to get rid of it, but I kind of stink that no one was even willing to, like, try. And I remember Woohoo Island had a glitch on it where you could, like, instant kill people if you threw them on the boat
the down
stage
throw.
with just one spot. That's the least visited stage on the list. Like, there's actually, like, a frequency to how often you go to each one. It's the least visited, and you have to only throw in that exact spot. But Gimmicks made a video on it, and I know he probably wasn't even meaning to do anything bad at all, but literally everyone pointed that video and just said ban. Like, that was it. And it's just like, why? No. I mean, the stage has other issues, and, you know, there's probably a good reason for it to be banned. There's a lot of camping points. It's kind of big. People can just kind of run away in certain sections. It's not, you know, it's not a perfect stage. I can get if people want to ban it, but I kind of wish, you know, that was the reason instead of we had this funny video, and everyone's like, well, it's time to get rid of it.
And it's fixed now, too.
Yeah, and we're also getting rid of more stages from Brawl, and I talked to Zero about that on the rule set, and he had said really some of the changes from Brawl to Smash 4 really did make some of the stages a lot worse. Like Halberd now, with just Rosalina existing and some other characters, there's a couple dumb moves that you can do that just instant kill people like off the top of a stage now, because of the way the design knockback. That's okay, but I know a lot of people were banning Halberd, and no one ever told anyone about those. Like that's not, like, no one ever said this is the reason. I'm just like, the ceiling isn't that bad. It's like, well, no, there's a lot of things behind it. And it's interesting, because you're right, now that I think about it, all of the counterpick stages, even though there were ones that were similar, they're only ones from Brawl. So it's kind of like, it's okay because we played it in Brawl is like a big thing behind why we're playing some stuff now, I think.
Yeah,
it's funny. Even Duck Hunt, there was a lot of controversy in the legality of it when it first started. I'm like, there's like a tree.
It's like a tree and a
There's
bush and a dog
tree
appears.
and some birds.
And the dog. But
You can even
I think
control where the dog goes.
I think one thing that has kind of hurt the community is that there's no. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a big back room to discuss like
No,
legality.
there isn't. So many people complained about the Brawl backroom and even the Melee backroom that I think at first, you know, we all just kind of thought, well, maybe just let that die because people just hated it.
But
and
like,
still now, like sometimes it gets brought up with her. It's like it'd be a great idea to bring that back, and then people, you know, go, no, this is horrible. You know, they're talking in private. No one knows what's going on. There's literally a Smash 4 group that's like 4 people who are trying to help out the community. That's private, and you can only be added to by invitation, and it's on Facebook. There's no applications. There's no merit process. You're added to the Smash 4 Illuminati, or. I mean, they're not that bad. They're really not trying to like control the game or do anything terrible. They're really out there to just share information with each other. But it exists. Just now, nobody gets to be in on it. So why is this backroom idea so bad? Because like now we're accepting something even worse, essentially, where like no one gets to know what's going on.
True.
I don't know.
I think as long as
it'd be
there's
great to see those people all discussing again, and like then, you know, when we're like, well, we're banning all of these stages at these tournaments because here's our list of reasons.
like I think
Great.
as long as like if there was a back room, as long as they created like reports like every month or so, like,
Yeah.
state of the union, like, you know,
Yeah.
here's what
And
we
it has discussion
discussed.
there.
Here are the points for, and here are the points against. We decided we were for it. We decided we were against because of X, Y, and Z.
Take minutes, basically.
Yeah, because like
Melee did that. In the old Smash Boards archives, you can see the Melee boards right before Brawl came out when a bunch of stages, you know, were still really, really legal, like a bunch of weird ones. They went through every single stage and discussed and voted on if they thought they should be legal or not. Because back then, people didn't know why stages were getting banned.
Yeah.
And the Smash 4 backroom, the Melee backroom said, you know, people need to know, and then Fazella made a big thread on it, and people actually understood.
Yeah.
And now we're coming into 2015, and we're going to make the same mistake that we made how many years ago and not telling people, and then not even fixing it.
Yeah.
It's scary. Like, look back a little bit, guys. Like, if you do all this stuff without telling people, they're going to be upset and they're going to understand.
yeah,
And that just makes more division in our whole community in general. It's just like, yeah.
you need some sort of centralized group or someone willing to step up and be like, hey, this is how we're gonna do it. You know, you're either with this way or you're not. If you're not, it's
Yeah, and if you don't agree, it's okay. At least you at least
Yeah.
know why we think the way we do, and then hey,
Yeah.
we know why you think the way you do. So it's good, you know.
It's just more interesting in Smash Bros. I think the big thing, and I'm kind of with a lot of people that say, you know, we don't need a backroom because it should be kind of open discussion. And I think the issue is, in other games, they don't have this problem because if you look about Street Fighter, there's no real need to change rules. Most characters aren't banned because unless you're absolutely broken, you usually don't ban anything. With Smash Bros, there's way more options than most other games. Because I will agree, and you know, I talked a little about Walk House, but I agree that a lot of stages probably should have on competitive play because they can get a little silly. Like, I'm trying to think. Probably Mario Maker, because I think we just played it last night with some friends, and like we had the most wonky stage. It had like one platform with ice, and then a big old lava pit on the right. And it's like some stages
How
are
are
going
you
to be
supposed to
problematic.
train or How are you supposed to get familiar to play competitively in a stage that's completely random?
Yeah,
You
there's
play
people who
every
try to
variation
fight
that could
for it
possibly
and,
come
like,
up.
Say, yeah, I know. There's people who fought for it and said things along the lines of like, well, you just keep selecting until there's a stage that's acceptable that has no more cliffs or lava pits. And I'm like, that's not going to be legal, guys. Come on, just be realistic.
That's
ridiculous. You
silly.
can't practice on it. You can't practice for it. You're basically saying, I want a stage that's legal just to hope that I get something that screws over the other guy. Like, that's not very competitive. Same thing for Gamer. A lot of people fought for Gamer for the same reasons. Like, some of the layouts are okay, and it's like, yeah, but no one's ever going to accept it because you're just hoping for a random layout that benefits you.
Gamer is awesome.
That's a fun
I love
stage
that
in
stage.
Smash 4.
I love that stage. It's like my favorite one.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun.
I do like a lot of the stages in Smash 4. A lot of the new ones, they're just like I said. All of the traveling stages, personally, I think are a lot of fun. The new Mario Kart stage is just
That one's good.
worlds
I
better
love
than
it.
the old one. It feels like a Mario Kart stage. It's fun to play on. Woohoo and Skyloft, as we were saying before, are also a lot of fun. And they're the sort of games that, since I'm not, a competitive tournament player, but I'm somebody that will play, one-on-one with no items with somebody I enjoy that play style,
Yeah.
but I don't need to have, the most fair stages all the time, as long as there's
Right.
not the Yellow Devil on it. So,
Yeah.
which, by the way, Yellow Devil isn't as bad as I feel like as some people say in free-for-alls.
No, I actually like that stage because I think the Little Devil has a good aspect versus, like, I kind of hate Metal Face because it's just kind of like, oh, he's there. And really
Oh,
can
I
be
disagree.
annoying.
Because Metal Face barely does anything. He just changes the layout, and
That's kind of why I don't like it.
has-
It's just like, why was this even here? Why'd you all do this? What's the point?
I don't know. I think he's very non-disruptive. I don't have any issue with Metal Face.
That's true, yeah.
The worst stage element for me are still the Flying Man. It makes it so unfair.
Yeah, because
It's not as bad, I've realized. They're kind of, if you know what you're doing, you can kind of easily kill them. At least when I play a little bit, I've seen that pretty often where they'll just kind of, sometimes you get it, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat people up, and then it just dies.
Well, I think
It's kinda
part
like,
of it too is
oh.
that besides that stage is amazing. If it wasn't like everything else about that stage, and it already has gimmicks, it already has things happening. It already has a
Yeah.
dungeon man walking by and
Like,
all
random
sorts
items.
of stuff going on.
It's got a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah,
man.
like
It's kinda actually
the Taco
cool if you're a
Mushroom
mother
Mushroom
man.
Kingdom U
The
is the same
octopus.
way. A lot of people said Mushroom Kingdom U would be legal, but Nabbit exists. Nabbit just kind of ruined.
Actually,
the
I hate
stage.
Nabbit too. Why is he? We try and kill him when he comes up. That's another one of those elements. I was like, oh my god, why'd you have this? He's not as common, but he's just annoying as shit when he comes up. Like, I don't like him.
He's I don't understand why he wasn't just an assist trophy, because his function would have been really fun as an assist trophy.
It would be, actually,
but
yeah.
as a stage element because I feel like with a lot of the decisions in Smash 4, especially with stage design, that Sakurai was just had a good foundation, and then he added a gimmick, and then he just added more stuff. Like there's already so much going on that stage. It already has the transitions to different layouts. It already has the icicles. It already has the urchins. There's like a lot going on that stage.
Well,
yeah, and then Nabbit after all of that.
Yeah, that stage actually, I think was really crazy because it's just like a plant that goes up. There's like water. Oh my god, this stage is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I love it, but it's ridiculous.
Right. And there's so many, and the other things too. You talk about lack of stage variety in some ways, but there's so many stages that are randomized. There's like Balloon Fight and Tortimer Island and Gamer and now Mario Maker, and there's something like Skyloft, which I love it. Like I said, it's a fun stage, but like half of the destinations where you land at would have been amazing stages on their own.
Yeah.
Would have been fun stages.
I think it's kind of.
That's something with Smash 4 in general. Is like there's a lot of traveling stages, more so than any other game in the series.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's just because we have the capability to handle those stages more now, or if it's just something that Sakurai is obsessing about, like in order to represent the games. And
It's a little.
I like it for
low
racing
proportion.
games. I like it on F-Zero. I like it on Mario Kart because I don't know. It kind of fits the nature and the speed of those sort of games.
And that's one thing I do like about Brawl's list a little bit. Brawl has a little bit more of a balance, and I actually do like the 3DS for the same reason because there are some really strong, good stages on there that I think are pretty solid stages. But it's just, they're just not there, and I think partly because of limitations. So I think it might be partly because they can do it. Because Brawl didn't have much of the problem. 3DS obviously doesn't, and I think some of the 3DS relied a lot more on unique stage design. And I think Melee did too. If you look at Melee, it has a lot more different layouts versus different gimmicks. And that's kind of like one of the problem about Smash 4. But kind of going back to what we were talking about, like I think it's that same thing. Like we'll talk all day about how awesome Gamer is, Mario U, all these different stages. But if you talk to a competitive player, they're like, "Oh my God, these suck. Why are these here? You know, we want more neutral stages." And I can understand it too. Which, in fairness, should be probably a little bit more neutral stages.
Right, and that's like a general. It's a very generalist view though too. Although I have come, and I feel like actual competitive players, like actual tournament players, from what I've seen, don't mind those stages because they don't mind. They'll have fun, casual quote unquote style matches with people where they'll be on whatever stage, have items on this or that. It's really the people in forums that really probably don't go to tournaments. Yeah, they probably just stream it and they're all like, "Oh, this is terrible. We need more neutral stages. All these stages suck. If it's not something that I can't play competitively, I don't care." And I think it's unfair to just kind of lump people into a group that casual players. They don't use Omega forms. Just things like that. It's a lot more nuanced. And I think once again that goes back to the greater divide that we were talking about, and it goes to everything. Even with speculation, you have Shantae versus Shovel Knight. You have people burying either of those characters.
For Dixie Kong and King K. Rool.
And K. Rool. I was about to bring that up. Yeah. And you have people putting down another character just because it hurts their character's chances in their eyes, or it's
I hate that so much.
It doesn't though.
It really annoys me so much. Whenever
Especially for us weirdos who want like obscure characters from Nintendo that are like historic or interesting or represent something brand new. Yeah, they're not famous, but don't hate us for actually, like for me especially, I actually played a Virtual Boy and I for some reason liked it. So I'd love to see a Virtual Boy character in Smash because there hasn't been. I know that will never happen, but like it's a dream.
Virtual Boy Rob.
And oh man, do people like to crap on me for it. Ooh.
Virtual Boy Rob's only in Project M, though, right?
He's in
does he have
Smash
that
4.
color scheme?
Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say, I
want
never play as Rob.
Tolero Boxer was like one of the highest selling titles for the Virtual Boy. That, or how they made stages with 2 tiers, in Smash 4, the one Donkey Kong stage? That was literally the game mechanic for the Wario game on the Virtual Boy. Why couldn't they just make that a stinking stage? Just why?
They did
like,
have
literally that's what it was for. You literally jump from stage side to stage side, and they gave it to Donkey Kong, and it's like, dang it.
They had that the Wario Virtual Boy reference in Brawl with the sticker.
Yeah, they did.
I didn't realize that. I think I actually got all the stickers eventually, and did not realize that there was a Virtual Boy sticker in there somewhere.
There's a couple, I think.
Yeah, I do. I like the Virtual Boy. There's something weird about it. It's just one of those memories, and it sucks though.
It's a huge failure, but it's very kitsch, and it's very I don't know. It kind of stands on its own as because it's so Nintendo. Mm-hmm. It's so weird.
It really is Nintendo.
So like don't like come to my house and threaten to kill me just because I want to see a Virtual Boy reference in Smash, please.
Yeah. That's why, like, whenever we write opinion articles on Source Gaming, we're always like, "This is an opinion article. You are allowed to disagree." Because
I think we should try to wrap up the divide in the community discussion. Kind of move on. This is, being a little longer than we initially anticipated. Yeah. I'd like to say, as Push mentioned there, we are doing guest articles now. And for those of you that are wanting to do a guest article and have listened this far into the podcast, I commend you. Number one. Number two, I think we were talking about trying to have substantive points.
Yeah.
We were discussing this earlier with kind of the different leads within Source Gaming. That first of all, a character piece is okay. But what we don't want is a propaganda piece, which is, oh my god, Bomberman is the best. Here's 7 pages on why Bomberman is the best. He should be in Smash Brothers. We want something that's more tied to history, to information. If you do have an opinion article, it needs to be very clearly stated, this is an opinion article, not just I think. And there should be some sort of research or information to back it up. Yeah. We are Source Gaming. We like to have sources. We like to have a reason to believe the things we believe. You can extrapolate any sort of knowledge any opinion you want from base knowledge, but you need to kind of have a background for what you're writing. So just kind of be careful before you do that. I think, Push, go ahead.
Yeah, I think if people do want to write character articles, they need to look at the case for articles that you've written, because basically what we want is if you are doing a character article, please look at both sides of the coin. Don't look at why they're likely, look at also why they aren't likely to get in. You have to address both issues, and you have to be very objective.
I agree.
I'm
By the
probably
way,
gonna write
yeah,
something
back.
about Virtual Boy now, so you guys can on that. I'm doing it.
Virtual Boy the character. Actually, I was thinking. It's funny you mentioned that because I was thinking, what if he was a character? You should play as Virtual Boy.
See,
He does all the...
Smash Caps, we
No
can
one-
combine forces. You can help me support 9-Volt, and 9-Volt can use the Virtual Boy as a weapon.
Anything to just see my precious Virtual Boy.
Just who remembers? Who remembers? Also, welcome
No
back,
one-
Nintendo.
Yeah, no one acknowledged me.
Hi, I did.
Except for Spazzy, my only friend.
Does anyone remember that?
I did.
So there were a whole bunch of just BS leaks prior to Smash 4 launch, obviously, and just fake, whatever game facts, text leaks. Do you remember that composite Nintendo character where he's like a Virtual Boy and he has like a power glove and just like
Yes.
it was
What?
ridiculous.
No.
That
That'd
was-
been
I mean,
awesome.
Like Captain N, basically.
Reminds me.
No, like I think it was just actually made up of different like failed peripherals or
That's
something.
hilarious. It's
I
awesome.
would have played that.
That's-
I would have played that
that's-
character.
that's
I
what
made them
Master-
to the end.
That's what Master Course should have been. Just
Just
the
failed products.
amalgamation of all of the
Although
failed products.
the Power Glove wasn't a Nintendo made item.
No.
A lot
It
of
wasn't?
people get that wrong. It was created by Mattel. It was licensed by Nintendo. I think
Oh.
Nintendo had Nintendo
okay.
basically just promoted it, but it was made by Mattel. They may have. I'm sure Nintendo had some input on it because it was for their system. But yeah, it was all Mattel. It's not
actually-
like Nintendo could.
If you go onto the Video Game Historian, they actually did a really great video on the Power Glove, just like this month.
so bad.
No, not the video. The video's good.
No.
It's very informative.
By the way, what have I missed very quickly? Like, 'cause I'm not
Oh,
quite sure
man.
where I'm up to. Or am I? We were just right at the end, and I just jumped.
Goku
right
got
into this.
confirmed for Smash while you were gone.
Oh really?
And we were
yes,
just
100%.
discussing.
That's a real fact.
Oh god, I was really hoping one of the Shinoni Gashima type characters would be added in. So
Yes, it's 100% real fact. Tell all your
yes.
friends.
Yeah.
Post this on Twitter.
I couldn't even tell you what you missed. To be honest, we
We
had
talked
a lot of a
yeah,
lot
we-
of stage discussion actually today.
and Broken Base.
Oddly enough.
We talked
Yes.
a lot about the divide. Anyway,
Anyway,
Yeah, did you have anything that you specifically wanted to bring up or contribute as far as, because like I said, I think we're basically wrapped up with just kind of different parts of the community and how they view each other, and divides between basically everybody from melee to brawl to competitive to casual to Dixie Kong to K. Rool. Was there anything that you wanted to bring up or had a piece to say about it?
character-wise, I don't really have anything to say about it. Although I really do dislike the way Melee fans treat other Smash fans and the general community. I mean, I don't know if the Apex stuff was brought up, or
Oh,
if
yes.
the
I don't
Oh,
think
no,
it
it
did
was not.
actually.
because if that wasn't brought up, I hate that. I despise that. And then there was also the Guilty Gear stuff, which I believe it was Guilty Gear, where Smash fans wouldn't let the Guilty Gear fans watch theirs live because the Smash fans had arrived early and were just taking up the whole room while waiting for Smash, even though Guilty Gear was actually the thing playing at the time. I believe it's Guilty Gear. If it's not Guilty Gear, it's BlazBlue. I have no idea. I don't know much about that series at all.
It's funny too. That's why we didn't mention this because we brought this up I think before. Because obviously I think if anyone doesn't remember Apex, I think the situation was Smash 4 took too long, and the Melee community was booing them essentially. But they forget that at CEO that year, that prior 2014, that same situation happened. I know that because I was actually there in the audience. Was I think Marvel was supposed to come on, and Smash took forever like literally, I think Marvel happened about 2 hours later, and the only reason that it was kind of the saving grace is Marvel actually finished early, and then obviously Street Fighter 4, the main event, also got delayed as a result. And they ignore that. It's like, I mean, it's kind of like you boo them, yeah, but it's like, you've done it too. How are you? You're not like a little saint. And that did annoy me for the same reason, for that. Like,
well, from what I gathered, apparently Melee in the Apex where they booed Smash 4, Melee, they were booing them because it went over time and they wanted Melee to stop. But Melee also then went over time and was on for just about as long as Smash 4 was.
Yeah. But when Melee goes over time, it's hype. Right?
Yeah,
that's the difference.
Yeah,
The same thing happened in some of the previous Apexes before, like Smash 4 came out with Brawl. They did the same thing. It's like, quit making that same mistake over and over. You can be excited for your game to come up, but when someone's getting their award for winning at the time the biggest Smash 4 tournament ever, it is not an appropriate time to start cheering for your own game. That hurts their feelings. Like, all that, I just made this big achievement. Maybe you don't like my game, but come on, I just beat how many hundreds of people to get here. Please give me a moment, to enjoy it. Don't boo me off stage or start cheering for your game to get on the stage. As soon as the award's done and they're off the stage, go as nuts as you want. That's fine.
Yeah, I actually
time of day.
Yeah,
I actually enjoy watching probably Melee the most for actual watching, just because there's so many movement options and it's so fast that there's a lot going on. It's very interesting to watch. Smash 4 is probably my favorite to play because I'm not a super high-end competitive player. I went to a couple tournaments back, like in 2001 or 2002. I might have gone to a couple. Played. I can. The extent of my competitive play is I know how to wave dash really well. I mean, but I'm not. I'm not into all of the intricate movement options the way that high level players are. Smash 4 is more my speed. I'm comfortable with saying that. And there's so much going on. I enjoy the game. As far as watching goes, like I said, I really like Melee. I do like Smash 4 doubles a lot. I don't know why, but I feel like there's usually when it doesn't get, unless it gets too gimmicky, because some pairings are really gimmicky. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, you see a good amount of character variety, and that's the other thing about Smash 4 is personally I feel like there aren't too many characters that are complete trash.
Yeah.
It's got a huge.
Smash 4 is
There's
much
some characters
better.
that are just perfect in 2v2.
Smash 4 is really well balanced,
Hello?
in my opinion.
Okay.
Anyway. So.
Yeah, for I think it's probably the best balanced roster in a fighting game that's this large that I've ever seen. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
At least because it's a huge roster.
Yeah, and it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
I mean, even with
but,
us, I prefer Project M to Melee personally because I prefer having the larger roster, and I think that's more balanced as well.
Yeah. I enjoyed Project M before 3.5. I feel like they started making changes to characters that made them just feel too different, and they nerfed recoveries way too much for my liking.
I don't like the change they made to Ganondorf, the floating one, because I don't know, I just kind of messed him up for me, because I'm used to playing Ganondorf in a particular way, and I know it's they're trying to make him more like Ganondorf, and that's a whole nother broken base discussion. But
I don't think we talked about that. No, we did a little.
No, we hit that one a little bit.
I just mentioned it.
Yeah,
I
I dislike Project M Pit. I'm just gonna say that real quick. And this is my opinion because I feel like he's a very valid character. He's a very viable character. I've seen some high level Pit play for sure, but just the way he plays doesn't feel like it doesn't feel intuitive to me, which is something I kind of like. Pit in Project M.
Okay, I like Pit in Project M. He's my main in Project M.
I don't know. It's something about the way he actually plays just doesn't rub me the right way. It doesn't feel like how I would imagine Pit playing, which is weird because Sakurai kind of made up, the majority of his moveset for Brawl, but that felt more in tune with what I thought Pit would be like. I don't know. It's
only really the up B and the side B that has changed, and the side B is just what his up B is in Smash 4, but goes at an angle. The up B in Project M is hilarious, though. I don't know, I love using that because it reflects things upwards. So anyone trying to attack you down and then you using it, you just knock them back up again. It's great.
It's it's sad that that Mega Man's not in Project M because his down air would be reflected right into him, and that would be amazing. That would be a fun thing to see.
The one opportunity you can have him.
Yeah, because I think that's the only character I can think of in all of Smash that has an airborne projectile that goes down that can actually knock out.
Yeah.
Besides items.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Who plays PM with items? People do.
Broken base.
People do.
Grenades.
Right, exactly. That goes back to assumptions.
I
I actually think Project M was as popular as it was as far as total downloads go, actually, because it appealed to a casual base because it had more characters. And it had more stages, and you were able, unlike most Brawl mods, you could just kind of download it in one go, put it on SD card, and you're ready to go. You know?
Well,
So it was kind of a...
Project M has the big issue that it only works in America and slightly in Japan. Like, over here in the UK, the only reason I've actually played it is because I have an American friend with an American Wii, and I have an American copy of Brawl. So we combined forces to actually play Project M, and I only got to play it, like, nearly 2 years ago now, is when we first actually got to play Project M, because I did all the effort to try and... this was my opportunity to give it a go.
Okay, before we stop the Project M talk, I am going to say that Project M Lucas is one of my favorites. I love Project M Lucas. That makes that entire project worth it for me.
You did give him a cool down B. I'm surprised. I kind of wouldn't mind that the offense up or whatever he does. That's actually cool.
Yeah. Really. Yeah, I wish that he pulled a little bit. I wish they had changed his specials up a little bit more in Smash 4, to be honest. I don't mind it, and it's one of those things where I'm sure Brawl Lucas mains are happy that he still is who he is. It's like we talked about changing Ganondorf. You have that, so. And it's weird. It's like you could change PK Fire into something else and have it have the same effect. It could be PK Beam, even though that wouldn't make much sense for Lucas, but
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
None of the moves make sense for those guys. Like if I'm right, I've always heard that don't Ness and Lucas not have any of the moves they actually use in their game.
They're from the party
PK Flash.
PK Flash is the only one that Ness has, but Lucas has none from his actual game.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, guys.
It's from the party members. It's more of a game representation than a character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the problem was all Ness's abilities were either healing or stat changes, and the same was true for Lucas.
Same true
Ness
for
was a
Nintendo
paladin
as well.
Ness was a paladin.
Yeah,
that was his RPG class. Like if you look at it, he was a hard-hitting tank. He had a ton of HP, and then he had limited kind of magic that dealt more with with buffs and healing and things like that. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on my old blog before I joined Source Gaming, I did a whole thing about Ninten, because I think if they add Ninten in, as unlikely as it is because of how similar he is to Ness, they could easily make an actual stat boosting Earthbound character.
I would love to see that.
That'd be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, like he could increase his own attack, decrease attack of others, use hypnosis to put people to sleep. His only actual offensive PK move would be PK Beam, which would be his final smash. And even then, for that, I made it so that Anna showed up to actually assist him. So it'd be like the Mother 1 advert, where the two of them use it together. That's what I was basing that from.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Oh no, I was just gonna say I know I'm gonna get a bunch of flack from Mother fans for this, a lot. And I do like Mother, or should we call it Earthbound Beginnings now?
Yeah.
So you should just call it.
I'm getting into a habit of calling it that.
I do like it, and story-wise, it is very, very different from Earthbound. I mean, it's a completely different thing. And character-wise, a little bit different too. But a lot of the character designs, especially from the first three characters, it's so similar, and in a lot of ways, it kind of feels like a beta build for what would become Earthbound.
It does.
Yeah,
Earthbound is so much more polished. And I'm really trying not to hate on the game. I'm not saying that. It's that I can still kind of pick up and play Earthbound, but I have to there's so many things that could have been improved and then were, as far as the game system itself goes, that it's you got to kind of trudge along. It's definitely not one of my favorite 8-bit RPGs. It is just because of the charm, but as far as actually playing it, not a huge fan of Earthbound Beginnings. So, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the Smash community.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so yeah, I think we basically wrapped that up. I think Nintendo brought up some points we really didn't touch, and I think that what I was saying before with talking about the how I enjoyed watching Melee is that the Melee community is not a very inclusive community, I think is part of it, and they're kind of their own thing, and it's a little bit of an issue at times, I feel like, in that they separate themselves from the rest of Smash when they're really not, but at the same time, people attack them as well.
Yeah, it's not one-sided.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Part of me just wants Smash 5 to come out and blow all of it out of the water by allowing allowing you to change the speed of the game engine.
Oh, I remember all those leagues.
Right, which would have happened, but the Waddle Dee trailer was
delayed.
Delayed. Yeah, man, good times in the old leaks group.
Yeah.
Good times.
I didn't even know that was a leak.
Oh yeah, there's melee physics toggle, which makes which would be a nightmare, by the way, if they actually wanted to implement any sort of balance to the game to have basically two game engines running.
What is it like? Heavy gravity.
Smooth Lander.
Yeah, Smooth Lander.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about him as much.
The Smooth
lately,
Lander,
Heavy
Heavy Landing, and there's one more
that
that people use.
I think it's the one that
I thought it was like knockback 1.2 or something like this. I remember hearing this.
It reduces your upward knockback. It's not Moon Launcher. It's probably the one that reduces it. I think there might be one.
There's a set of 3 items that they basically said are the standard because you can get them all by unlocks, so they're always the same and they almost make the stats the same. So it's neat. I mean, if you like to play that way, that's awesome too. I mean, I know the people who do play like that. They play it like all the time. And they love it. And you can even play that way online now due to a weird little like loophole bug. So they actually get to play with each other online, which is really nice.
By the way, I know on the 3DS you can actually hack in your own special equipment. Like you can hack if there was like a standard equipment, everyone would just have to basically install Homebrew on their 3DS to get access to it.
So basically, new Project M2 or something.
Project
M for Wii U.
Not exactly, because you're still just using the equipment that's already in the game. You're not really altering. But that's where
there were custom Miis going around.
Yeah.
I don't know if there still are.
Yeah, I remember when I downloaded one of them.
Project
it was
M3
insanely broken.
Sadly, I don't think I ever saw it because I wanted to use it for like a certain mode. I don't remember what it was.
But I think you can't. But they enabled it on the Wii U, so theoretically you could just download them onto Wii U. Too.
Yeah, but you can't transfer something. You can't transfer a Mii after it's been transferred once, unless it's yours.
Does it? Does the 3DS and the Wii U, do they use the same share? I actually don't know this. For the Mii fighters.
Not sure. I could say, but what I can say is, once again, like I downloaded a broken Mii with maxed out stats. I can't share that on my Wii U though because I downloaded it.
No,
yes.
You can't. You can only share things that were natively made on your 3DS or your Wii U.
That's correct.
So we'd have to find whoever.
Oh, I gotcha. I know what's going on. So like if I say I have a friend 3DS transfer to the Wii U, the transfer Mii can't be transferred again. You can only transfer the original. Yeah. Gotcha.
That's right. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think customs.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway. I mean, I
custom effects would have been better if they were toggles.
Like, toggles melee physics. I was just saying you can speed it up or slow
I mean, you could still kind of unlock them,
Like,
but if
just
you
general
could,
game speed,
if you actually
it would
had
still
kind
keep
of
the same
attribute
engine and
sliders
everything like
that you can only max out certain
It's just
stats, like
everything moves
I
slightly
enjoy the
faster.
idea of customizable fighters, but the fact that it's random equipment makes it very hard to kind of standardize anything.
Yeah.
And I was going to write an
Yeah.
article about this fairly soon, because probably when all the DLC is done. The issue I've noticed with customization is, and it only really works because the 3DS version exists. Because in a Wii version, the problem is, if you have a group of friends, you're not going to take out time to, let's say, make a Mii Fire, make a custom character, do all that. So, fortunately, the feature gets kind of lost on it. So, having things like custom equipment, customizing fighters, works on a 3DS because you carry that stuff with you, you do it in your own time, and then when you meet with friends, it's ready to go, versus on a home local multiplayer where everyone's on the same couch playing the same game, it's difficult to set that up. So, it's kind of like going further, like how would you do custom moves in an NX version if there wasn't a handheld version as well, like how this game was set up. It's just one of the issues, I think, that kind of comes up, and it's more of a feature of having a handheld version.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue as...
I don't want them to make a handheld
I really
version,
doubt,
although they may
and
not
like I
have a
said, we do an
choice if
NX
the
discussion
NX
some other
has
time, but I
both
really doubt that it's
handheld
going to be
and
like a
non-handheld.
packaged in handheld
We'll
or
see how that
something
plays
that you can just
out.
kind of disconnect.
One
I
of
think
the-
it makes more sense as kind of a unified platform, like
That's the thing where
people
we're
have said
going.
before.
That's what
That's where it's going.
I believe one of the patents that was uncovered on NeoGAF. They said that the software, it decides what version of the game to run based on the console.
Right, so yeah, it's scalable with different form
Yeah.
factors.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's like thinking, you have something running on your Mac, you have something running on Apple TV, you have
Somewhat
something on your iPad, your iPhone.
Steambox, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But the difference is, and why I think the Apple's a better
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
comparison is the form factor.
That's true.
Yeah, it's going to have all those.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause you have
Like
the
something like
iPod,
with
iPad.
Steam will always have,
Yeah.
you're always going to be running on a PC type of setup
Yeah.
for the most part, whereas this, if you're playing it on a tablet or playing it on a computer or playing it on the TV, it's going to be different.
Yes.
Which I'd assume Nintendo would be more akin to that.
Yeah. I think we're almost at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I have about
left to talk about then. Or
37
have we kind of hit
Yeah.
the end point?
Okay, so
and
we have
leave
about
that
an hour and
question
37
left?
minutes left here, so let's pad that out. No.
I want to watch that MLG today. I mentioned it, and I want to watch it today. My daughter's favorite player is playing. We have to cheer her and stuff. It's a family thing.
No. Well, I don't have that long.
My daughter
time
loves
left,
family
Pikachu,
stuff.
so like she's like the biggest Axe fan in the world
Oh.
ever. Literally, we were gonna get her. She has a Pikachu costume for Halloween, and like we were gonna get her in it so that she could cheer for Axe today. So I can't miss MLG.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's basically it.
Oh.
The only real
Well,
other thing to talk about would be
Spazzy,
whether
what
or not
else is-
Smash
so
really, like what
Shall we
what
move
the
on to
focus of
next
Smash
topic,
is
or
as
what-
far
is
as
that it?
being a competitive game, what it was designed for. But I think a lot of people have kind of gone over that in the past. Like I said, we've spoken a lot about it. I think at the end of the day, it's, don't be a dick to anybody else, and maybe they won't be a dick to you.
Yeah.
Right, Push. That's the
We
Smash
all
motto.
just
Lead
get
by
along.
example.
And it's, it's an amazing, fun, casual party game, and it's one of the most in-depth competitive fighters out there. And the truth of the matter is, I think, for most people, it's somewhere in between.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
and like I said, I've
Well, it can be fun.
there's been
It's fun.
times in
People-
my life
you-
where we're
people
playing
don't have to
like
play every single
you know,
game super seriously.
4-player
People don't have to play every
free-for-alls
single
on
game
Rainbow Cruise with items
the
on,
most random
and
stages.
somebody just gets upset and throws the controller. Because that happens too. Because you can be competitive in any game mode for anything.
Yeah.
Probably because of the bomb spawned on your head. But by the way,
Standard
also,
play, man.
yeah, dude, it's really funny to me that Brawl introduced kind of these super weapons and final smashes, and Smash 4 brought it to another level with what is it, the gun from Kid Icarus, a Daybreak gun, and all
Daybreak,
sorts
yeah.
of things like that.
Yeah.
And so many explosives and so many weapons. But I feel like items were the most potent in Melee. Like a bomb would scare you, you know. And now it's not. It's not like that. It's odd. Like when items are on, it's just, maybe it's because we're past that area. There's just too many items now.
I think that's kind of it too. Like,
Hey,
they're
you
all-
have the guy who literally, like, I literally made the item standard play rule set for Smash 4. I studied every
really?
item in the
I don't
game,
know.
went through it. Yeah, completely odd coincidence. They changed a ton of items from Brawl.
I don't know. Bombs
to
scare me
Smash 4 so
still.
that when you hit them, they would actually activate versus them doing nothing.
Yeah.
Item standard play actually lost the amount of items that could be legal when it came after Brawl to Smash 4. Like a lot of the items that used to be legal and in that whole idea of that rule set, and we're like, oh yeah, these are fine. You can't even touch them now because they like explode or they freeze you or they do something when you hit them now.
like which
So
ones?
they made the little ice block that goes along in Brawl, when you hit it, it would do anything. In this game, it'll freeze you. A lot of the bomb things that are on the ground will blow up if you hit them in the air now. Like a lot of them they used to not. It's interesting. They tried to like bump up how strong some of the items were when they came to Smash 4. Again, I'm not sure why, but they did.
That's
So there's
interesting.
less. Yeah.
I've seen some that are weaker because the curry actually used to be way better in Brawl than it is now.
Oh yeah, and there's some. Yeah, because especially here's some interesting facts about you. For you Smash fans, from the one guy who actually cared about items. 1, Curry got nerfed because you could do infinites with it. And
Yeah,
that's no
that's
fun
right.
for anybody. 2, you know how Brawl in Brawl, Ganondorf, when he did his flame choke, they fell on the ground and they couldn't tech. They added in the tech because in Brawl, Ganondorf had buttloads, and I mean buttloads of item infinites. Like, it was ridiculous. Like,
Really?
you get one flame choke and they're dead. And that's why you can tech now. So guys, items are actually a huge part of the balancing process in Smash.
I actually did not know that.
It's interesting. Yes, because someone
Yeah,
was
that is very
talking about it
interesting.
in a competitive thread the other day, and I literally said, you guys know this is because he had item infinites, right? And it's like, what? So yeah, when you go back to play Brawl, learn those and make your friends hate you because they're so
Yeah,
much
I
fun.
didn't either.
Brawl had some crazy shit in it.
Ganon with items was like ridiculous. He had stuff where he could stall in the air under a stage indefinitely, just all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, I have no idea what it was with him and items, but he was insane.
Well, that's the problem. He was obviously balanced with. That's why Sakurai likes him so much too. He was balanced with items in mind.
You guys clearly don't know how to play this character.
Final Smashes too seem a lot more subdued. I don't know if it's just me. I haven't like looked
do.
into it,
They
but I
are.
felt like in Brawl, I felt like somebody got the Final Smash ball, and you were just like, well, that's it. Time to just like walk off the stage. Now I feel like you can you can deal with it a lot
Some
I
of
better.
think the
Smashes
super
are good.
strong ones were like Sonic's weaker, the Landmasters are weaker, some of the more retarded ones are weaker, and the rest of them either weren't
Ness's
changed very
Final
much.
Smash is so much better.
Oh god, it's retarded. That could be an instant kill right there. He did, yeah.
Yeah, Ness is in this one.
Yeah,
Ness,
Lucario's new Final Smash, or as I like to call it,
Ness-
accidentally SDing off the side.
Well, Ness
Yeah.
just took
Oh my
Lucario's
God.
final smash, really. And then, because Lucario got his new final smash.
All right, guys. So
Ooh,
I think
so-
that's it for what we're saying. I think we can move on to the Q&A. Do we really have that many questions? I'm very...
We have only one question.
So true.
You have a question?
Okay, I have a question. Oh, that's very nice. Yeah. Let's make up some questions and pretend people ask them. So who's everyone's favorite Smash Brothers character? That was asked
We
by
have a question.
not made up 43.
Yeah, you got a
okay,
question.
45. Sorry. There we go. All right, guys, let's start. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do this. Yes, not made up 45 asked. Who's your favorite Smash character? To play as though, not just what character do you like.
Depends
Let's-
which
let's
I
start
game,
with
wrote
I
an
Smash
guess.
4.
article about what characters I played in each game, but I literally did.
Who's your
It's
favorite
true.
character in Smash
Yeah.
4?
But in
Let's start with
which
Smash
game?
2, because
In
why
which
not?
game?
Okay. So obviously Smash 4 is Pikachu, that's why the name is Smash 2. I think Melee was Peach. Brawl was I think I played Wolf, Lucas, Pokemon Trainer. And I think they pretty much got rid of all those characters but Lucas. Oh, I guess Charizard too. And for Smash 4, it'd pretty much either be Or Duck Hunt. And I'm actually surprised we're answering the made-up question.
Listen. Not made up 45 wants, his answers. So,
not made up 45. Well, I have some characters I like. Too. And, they're not always the characters I play, but I love them. Like Smash 64, I loved Jigglypuff just because. And that was back during the anime heyday, and I loved watching Jigglypuff. That's cool. That's a childhood memory. And in Melee, it's Pichu. I have reasons. For one, the idea of a fighter that hurts itself to me, I thought was the coolest, game concept I've ever seen for a fighting game. I thought that was so original. But also, I have bad hands, so when I play as Pichu, Pichu is so fast even without auto-canceling and out-canceling or doing anything else that half the time you basically get away with stuff. So, it was either that or Game & Watch, who literally can't out-cancel, so, half of his attacks. But for Brawl is so tough. I don't know on Brawl, cause it's kind of weird that one's so difficult, but they just had so many characters and I enjoyed so many. I don't know if I can pick a favorite easily. I don't know if there was one that stood out to me that much intensely. This is just the coolest character. I never would have thought of this. I was excited at the time because Sonic was in it, because Sega and Snake, but I don't know if I call them favorites. And for Smash 4 though, that's so tough. But I guess when it really comes down to an absolute favorite, I really do enjoy Wii Fit Trainer. I just thought that was such a that was just so Sakurai. That's the best way to put it. Just some of those things that only Sakurai would come up with. Yeah, that and Mii's. I do like Mii's. I'm a weirdo. I love to play as Mii's. I don't know what it is. They're fun to me. I like them. And I know that some people... Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're a pretty pro-Mii group.
Yeah, I know some people hate them and stuff, but it's the idea of being able to make... I like the way
I got a custom Mii for every setup.
You could make anyone you
up and
want
stuff.
Smash, even those silly... Yeah, the silly
that's right.
things, you could put them in. And to me, that's really neat. It's the reason he put them in that makes them so cool, so that... Yeah, I can't put in every character you want, but maybe you can have a taste of them. And I think that's... Especially because now Brawler, has those, shoutouts to other fighting games, like Virtua Fighter and things like that. That's really cool. We get to shout out all these other franchises that have inspired fighting games forever now. That's a neat way to be able to do it. Without full-on saying, let's put in the insert name here for Virtua Fighter, because that would be a little odd.
Yeah.
But it's neat.
Yeah. My problem with, Sorry, so... yes. I just wanted to talk about the Mii's for a second, because my problem with how they were implemented is I feel like there's a lot of half measures in Smash. Sakurai has an idea and it's not a fully formed idea, and then he'll drop it the next game, like Subspace Emissary, or he'll fix one thing but not fix or one step forward, two steps back, like we said with the Stage Builder. With Mii's, it is so frustrating that you can't edit the actual Mii inside of Smash.
Yes.
So if it just doesn't look right, you have to exit out, fix the Mii and come back. But anyways, all right. So who's left to answer this question? Who? Oh no, Push. You want to talk about this?
Do I want to talk about Wario?
No, yeah, that is a pain.
For Brawl,
all right.
Smash 4, it's Wario.
Right.
I just love the way that he plays.
Me.
And then,
mainly
it's
no
Yoshi or Game & Watch. And then for Smash 64 is Yoshi.
All right, Nintendo.
Alright, well, I guess starting from Smash 4, because the characters I really like are different from the characters I actually play. So in Smash 4, I really like King Dedede. Always hail to the king. But I actually properly playing, using Yoshi. In Brawl, it was actually Toon Link was the character I both really liked using and playing as, for both for fun and for glory. Then in Melee, I really liked Roy, but Young Link was the character I used probably the most.
Top tier,
Young Link or
jerk.
Link. I always jumped between the two. And in Smash 64, it was Ness was the character I really liked, but I think Pikachu was the character I used the most. Either Pikachu or Link. Can't remember.
That's kind of funny because I was actually going to bring
there
Link
we
up
go.
as one of mine for Smash 4 because he feels
The
so
character's
much
always changed, but Link is
better.
always there.
He's still not a
there
great
until the
character,
most recent
but
Smash
he
4
feels like
entirely.
a competent character now.
Linkier.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just the little touches, the backflip, his new dash attack, and just like I said, he actually feels like you can, maybe win some matches with him. Whereas in Brawl, I felt like that was just not going to happen. I don't know. I like Shulk a lot. I wish I was better at Shulk. Like, I feel like you have to have really good fundamentals to be a good Shulk player. Because there's a lot going on. Like it's difficult to even approach with him unless you're running neutral air, fast fall. He's an interesting character, but I like playing as him a lot. Ness is my de facto main in Smash 4. Love his buffs. Love the game. Mega Man I've been waiting for since 64. Since I thought that maybe there was a chance that there's a non-Nintendo character. Mega Man should be it. And I know some people aren't a huge fan of his playstyle, but I really enjoy playing as Mega Man. I do pretty well as it. It's interesting. It's a very different sort of playstyle. Brawl, played as Pit a little bit, played as Lucas. I honestly didn't play too much Brawl. I actually liked Wolf a lot in Brawl, and hope he comes back eventually.
I know Seagull Joe wants him back.
A lot of people want him back. I think the thing about Wolf is very few people don't want him back. It's just how many people really want him back that much. And I feel like the only people that you ever see argue kind of against Wolf are kind of like, I don't mind seeing him back, but I want new characters. That's all you ever really hear about. I think at this point. Melee was all Jigglypuff, and I actually like the way Smash 4 Jigglypuff is so much better than Brawl Jigglypuff. But Jigglypuff was definitely my main in Melee. She's so good. So good. Mostly because the other characters I played as weren't very good. So I played a lot, like I said, Link, Ness, and characters that just weren't cutting it. That's about it. And like I said earlier, if we're lumping Project M in as a premier type of Smash game, I do like Project M Lucas a lot. I actually like Project M Wario. I understand why Wario is the way he is in proper Smash, but it's a good take on it. I enjoy it a lot.
Oh yeah.
For Project M, once they add Pichu, I'll be happy. I want Pichu, and I swear, it's like we're the only Melee veterans.
I like Project M Wario. I think if we're doing Project M, then Wario, Ness, and Pit are my three for that.
Yeah.
I do really like Wario in that game.
I forgot to actually count Toon Link as a character that appropriated another character's moveset more or less from Young Link.
That is true.
When I did my character, when I did my character cut Ross article, I didn't even really consider that because in my mind, I consider Toon Link Young Link.
Yeah.
It's just. Yeah. I mean, I know he's not, but that's just how it's just an automatic response for me.
Yeah.
Literally, some of his customs in Smash 4 match some of the moves that Young Link had, like burning arrows and stuff. Like, literally just saying, if you liked Melee, here you go.
Good. Yeah, the burning arrows should have really been. Should bring Young Link back and give him the ice arrows. They can freeze people when they hit.
Those all sound like things that could be handled
spin,
just through
make
custom.
His spin attack one that can't be charged up.
There needs to be
make
more.
Make his bombs have a really short fuse and make his boomerang.
I have to say, as far as disappointing customs, man. Well, first of all, Jigglypuff is terrible, but I felt like Samus had so much more to draw upon from her actual games, and they're like giant bomb, missile that fires at an angle or something. I don't even remember.
She didn't have the ice beam either. That's what I found weird.
Yeah, I agree with that. There are a lot of. I think customs could be something that could be dive into in depth, but I understand why they did them. It makes balancing stuff.
Well, I think
really
Not
easy.
Made Up 54 has a question about that,
otherwise
but we'll
I'd
save
like
that for
Mario
our
to
next
have a whole
podcast when
moveset
nobody
based
sends
on
in any questions.
Like, that's a custom thing.
What are your favorite and
Rather
least
than
favorite
just,
custom moves?
leaving it as his down B.
So the one actual question we got, and I want to preface this by saying you guys can ask us anything, and we may or may
Anytime.
not answer it. We would prefer if things are in priorities
We'll
if we
say
get questions. Smash questions, Nintendo questions, general gaming questions, other. Yes, and it's funny because it's directed at me in particular. I guess if anyone else wants to talk about it, and it's going to be really quick.
This falls firmly in the
Cyber Hyper Phoenix wanted to know what I think of the Marvel Comics Secret Wars that is going on right now, which is the current event, and its
I don't
tie-ins
know
and the
what
all-new,
it's about.
all-different Marvel. I guess he knows that I was somewhat of a comic book fan. I just some background. I got really into comics during the comic book boom of the 90s, where there were actual local comic shops everywhere, and you could go, and it was something to do, and there was just kind of an energy about it, and it was an exciting time to get into comics, but then there was also kind of a crash. And I've had like 3 or 4 times in my life where I just don't read comics for years, and then I just start reading them again. Early college, a couple years ago, and I just kind of started again now. And I do like what they're doing with Secret Wars. I haven't had the time or money to follow everything. For those of you that don't know, kind of a common conceit in American superhero comics, and that's another thing I'm just going to bring up really quick and I could talk about, is that a lot of people think about Western comics, and they A, think about American comics, B, think about superhero comics, and C, think about comics from kind of the big publishers. But there's so much out there if you like kind of visual novels and visual medium. I mean, from romance to horror to weird genre pieces, there's a lot of comics, especially if you get into European comics. There's a lot there. But like I said, I was trying to keep this quick. But the whole point is that a common conceit is in superhero, it's a trope basically, or just alternate dimensions. Let's like the Ultimate Comics. Let's kind of re-envision Marvel Comics as if they started in the early 2000s, and kind of reimagine some of the properties that way. Or like what if instead of Spider-Man getting bit by the powers, it was Gwen Stacy, and then you have like Spider-Gwen and those things where she's Spider-Woman. And the whole thing was the multiverse is collapsing, and basically Doctor Doom becomes God. He gets the powers of God, and he creates Battle World, where basically all of these different alternate dimensions are coexisting on one giant planet with kind of their memories altered, and each alternate reality, which you would know of from having read comics for years, exists in its own domain, and there's kind of the politics between the sections and what's going on. And it was a chance really for a lot of the writers to flex their muscles and do things with characters and properties that they wouldn't normally be allowed to do. You can kind of do whatever you want. It's an alternate reality within the confines of Battle World. And I think it's really interesting. As far as all new, all different Marvel, which is kind of the end result of this, where what they're doing is taking bits and pieces from other Marvel universes and incorporating it into the main universe. For instance, Miles Morales, who is the Ultimate Spider-Man, who made headlines for being, an African-American Spider-Man, is going to be part of the main universe. And we're still not sure exactly how it's going to be incorporated. I'm not going to put any judgment on that until I actually see what happens. I do wish there were more Ultimate Universe characters that got introduced there into that. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about it. This isn't a comic book podcast, and I don't feel like doing background on everything that's going on, because I'm sure not all of our fans appreciate that. Number one, number two, that would take a lot of time. So I guess that's my piece on it.
I am so lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I have no idea.
That's the problem with that's the problem with serialized comic books the way they are, and why companies like DC, which DC Comics, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the Justice League,
Yeah, me too.
They've been criticized for doing a lot of reboots over the years, where they just basically cancel out all of their old continuity and start fresh. And Marvel's never done that. And a lot of people like the continuity in Marvel Comics. And a lot of people are afraid that this would kind of reboot things because they're kind of like I said, they're working the new Spider-Man in. And they're not getting rid of Peter Parker. But they're working him in, and it seems like it might be like just like, oh, he was always there. So it's kind of a soft reboot, you know? But I understand why, because when you have, 50, 60, 70 years of background for serialization, and you have so many, it's not even like something like, let's say, Doctor Who, where most Doctor Who is linear and there's very clear jumping on points. It's funny, it's about time travel, it's linear. But it is, because you don't have so many properties. You don't have a universe where the Fantastic Four are doing one thing and the X-Men are doing another thing and the Avengers are doing another thing, and they're all doing it in the same universe. So you have a lot of things going on at the same time. It's really hard to attract new readers when it's intimidating. There's you guys had no idea what I was talking about. I was trying to kind of keep it concise and not get into any details, but it's just, it is what it is. It's difficult.
Let me know when the movie's coming out.
Yeah. Man, I'm yeah, exactly.
Well,
right now I feel like comics are just fodder for movies.
That's how I know them.
Questions, guys.
I'm sure they're gonna do the Gwen Stacy Spider-Gwen is so popular right now. I'm sure they're gonna adapt that into a movie at some point. Who's Matthew Mercer? Yeah, Miles Morales.
Yeah, I heard it. I think they'll bring Matthew.
Yes, that's who that is.
Oh.
Thank you. I'm like, I know who Matt Mercer is.
Whatever that. Matthew Miles.
Back to Smash.
I don't know, whatever his name is. The Black Spider-Man. He's a voice actor.
Yeah, speaking
I
of
think he's the
When
guy.
is Spider-Man
he's
being
the guy who
confirmed for
voiced
Smash
Prom.
Brothers?
Yeah, we're hinting.
So when will they add him
we
to
all
the
have some
Marvel
real insider
universe?
info, and we just let it slip. Damn it.
Come on, let's bring our Fire Emblem.
We said we were going to do it, and then we did it.
crossover.
We all know everything. Your favorite character's going to be in the game.
Unfortunately, Miles Morales is he's an alt costume. He's not a full character. Just full disclosure while we're talking about it. He does have his own voice.
Source is mistaken.
Oh man. Okay, so that was.
Yeah, it's over 2 hours.
So, all right, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that.
Shall we say our goodbyes?
I hope that talk about
This is
comics
getting
wasn't
long
like
now.
too off-putting or
I'm gonna
long
need to
for
go soon
anybody.
anyway, so I'm gonna have to say my goodbye.
So, whatever.
So-
We'll just edit it out if it is. Anyways, we'll edit it so it says Spider-Man, and then we'll just.
Our goal is to get this 2-hour conversation down to about 30 minutes. Let's see how it goes.
Basically, it's going to be melee, and then we're going to end. All right, so Spazzy D signing off. If everyone wants to say their goodbyes.
Yeah,
Five
and
years, thank you for
Smash
some-
Cap, I don't know if you have any social media or anything people can follow you at. I know that you...
You should probably go on Twitter and search up Smash Caps. And if you go on Facebook,
Until
you
next
can find
time.
me by searching Smash Caps. This is going to get really crazy. If you go on Patreon, you can find me as Smash Caps. And if you're really brave, you can go to smashcaps.com and find all of that at the same time.
wow.
So is it all caps, or is it just, some lowercase?
Oddly enough, it's not, which is really depressing. I should have done that back in the day.
You should have just caps
It's
this
really
game.
easy to find me.
Whoa.
Like even if you put it in undercase and stuff, on most searches it comes up. So if you want to find me, just type in Smash Caps, like, basically whatever social media you do, you'll find me.
All right. Well, we can also obviously find you on smashboards.com as
definitely.
second in command. Yep. We are Source Gaming. You can find us on sourcegaming.info. If you look up Source Gaming and Smash Brothers, there's a good chance we'll come up. So there's for those that enjoy the Googling. I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, and until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, friends.
Bye.